everyone, welcome to Phonogenics 101. My name is Jeremy Gloff, and I'm your host. First of all, I'd like to thank all my Patreon subscribers. My goal was to quit waiting tables as my second job and to get involved in the creative pursuits I love, discussing music, making music, and running a virtual open mic. So even for a $1 or $2 a month, everything helps out, and I don't have to wait tables. Tonight, we are going to talk about the queen of rock and roll. One of my top 5 favorite singers of all time. Someone that is good now, in my opinion, as she was when I was born. Like the first time I heard Fleetwood Mac was my mom would clean houses, and I remember Rumors and the White Album being on, and I just loved their music then, and nothing has changed. I went to the movie theater and saw Stevie's 24 Karat Gold tour, and I feel like she has just as much power now as she did then. You know, it's different. Everyone evolves as an artist, but she's someone, so many of the singers that I loved growing up that I'm discussing in other podcasts, maybe made music later on that I didn't relate to as much, or they started becoming someone I didn't relate to as much. But I'm proud to say in 2021, Stevie Nicks is just as awesome as she's ever been. You know, so I'm excited to have some friends here to talk about her second album, Wild Heart. So let's go around the circle and everyone kind of introduce herself and say where they're from and say your relationship with Stevie.
Okay. I'm Roland. I'm in Canada right now, and I've been a longtime fan since 1982, actually. So I remember actually buying, like I said, Mirage and Wild Heart the year afterwards in the stores for like $6.99 or so. And to this day, I've seen her on stage with Fleetwood Mac or solo 29 times.
Awesome.
Oh.
Next.
All right. Well, my name is Alicia. Like the last podcast, I'm from South Carolina. I've seen Stevie twice. I became a fan in 2007, so I'm a late comer. It was just enchanting. It was Stevie's that original person in music. So she just catches your ear, and that's what she did with me. And I couldn't stop. The first album I got was Belladonna, and then the next was, I think it was the Crystal Vision's Greatest Hits, and I just started from there. And I've enjoyed it ever since. Awesome. So I'll let the next person.
I want to go next. I'm Nathan, and I'm from Portland, and I have been a fan since probably 2003, I think. And I've seen some combination of the band live, maybe 5 times. So nice to meet you guys.
Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you.
Nice to have you here.
Hello.
All right, we just have one intro left.
Is that me?
Yeah, it's you.
Okay. Well, my name's Jim, and I'm probably one of the old ones, but this is kind of a complicated thing where I knew about Fleetwood Mac, and I like Christine songs, you know, and I remember a DJ saying there was a new Fleetwood Mac song coming on, and it was Rhiannon.
Oh,
wow.
And I was expecting Christine's voice, her smooth voice, her great writing, her great, you know, warmth and everything. And here's this other girl that I'm going to listen to the other girl instead of this. But then, you know, I warmed up to this new singer rather, you know, over time. Really, I didn't, it's kind of complicated where I was pretty much a radio listener, really into buying records but like the MTV era, my brother sent me it was like his out of context videos. He cut the commercials, you know, and it was just the videos. And I was watching, and this woman singer was spinning.
Oh.
You know, she was turning in the drum beat. Oh, that's a pretty cool beat. And then, and I was watching, I said, well, it's just, you know, just another girl singer, you know, I might get, you know, I better be careful. Watching and then, well, okay, you know, just like putting up a wall and just saying, hey, I'll give her a chance, and just you know, and then I recognized that's Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
That's Fleetwood right in the middle of Stand Back. That was Fleetwood Mac. And it was, wow. And then, you know, on those tapes my brother sent, there was probably a copy of Stand Back on ends of 3. He would record movies and send them up. And they were on beta, just back in the beta days.
oh,
And there would be Stand Back. And would give me some kind of a high or kind of a, you know, empowerment feeling, you know, after Stand Back. You know, you just, when it ends, you know, you just feel, wow, I feel good. And it's just giving me some kind of a energy. And, you know, and then on the end of another tape, he had 21 minutes of the HBO tour.
Oh, the Mirage tour?
No, not the Mirage. This was
The White Winged Dove.
Oh, White Winged Dove, the Belladonna tour.
180, yeah.
And the first thing that came on the screen, it was right at the stop of Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Oh.
And then it went with Sarah Next, Edge of 17, and the first part of Rhiannon before the band came in. So I saw it way out of context.
Okay.
You know, and I remember through the years, I would hear this woman singer, especially in the Belladonna era, and I said, well, one of these days, if I'm going to buy some records, in a big if, I'm going to buy her music, like specifically her music. Someone I didn't know her name, her face. And that's kind of what it is. And then the first record I bought was the Wild Heart album.
Oh, wow.
With the Police album, the Synchronicity album, and the Fix Reach the Beach album. That's my first 3 albums.
That's
I bought them. And, you know, I went back catalog and, you know, Belladonna was next. And I think, you know, I remember my brothers played Rumors, and, you know, we shared a basement with 3 brothers. They played, and when they put the needle on the record and I knew who they were, I said, you guys listen to Led Zeppelin and Queen and whoever and Ozzy or well, Sabbath. They would, and then they put that on there, and I heard they put on Rumors, and I loved it. And it's almost like, well, you guys are listening to my band, and it's like you're listening. It's kind of like I was a shy kid, and you know, but for like 8 years there was this woman singer, you know, Stevie. I mean, Christine. I'll throw that in there too. Recognize the band, love the variants of the music. They're very, you know, and my sister, I think she was with the Columbia subscription.
Oh, the penny tapes or the penny CDs. I guess it was records back then.
Come out and they charge you, and Tusk was, and you know, she played Tusk, and I knew that was Fleetwood Mac, and I thought that was pretty good. You know, that was just kind of a funny story among some of these others. So. I'll stop for now.
I remember when those tapes, the videos came out, I actually bought them in the stores. They were $50 each, and they were, you know, this is the early days of VHS tapes. So they were actually in a display case with a lock on it. You had to ask the clerk, you know, to buy it. So the Belladonna tour one was like $40 or $50, and a Mirage one too. So I actually bought the Belladonna one, which was very expensive, you know, considering this is back then too. And now it's like, you know, it's on YouTube for free.
I got it when it was reissued as like the in concert VHS. Alicia, we dropped the ball and we didn't talk about the White Winged Dove tour on the last discussion. We should have, because I feel like her high kick during Golden Braid needs to be talked about.
Yes. Well,
that needs to be brought back. Yeah.
Something later this month and do 1.5. Jeremy.
So did anyone I'm gonna make a confession. I would dance along to the TV and do the tambourine in the high kick during Golden Braid. Now my boot couldn't get quite as high as Stevie's, even when I was younger. And
I just wish that video was longer, that they would have the whole concert, like Blue Lamp and After Face and all that kind of stuff.
Was Blue Lamp recorded on video on that concert?
I've never. Someone would have shown it on YouTube, but now it was never. There were audio versions, but no one ever filmed it.
Do you remember how on the VHS it said Gold and Braid, but then when Enchanted the box set came out, it was called Gold and Braid. So yeah. I'm still confused, like 20 years later. All right, I was at the store in 1983, and then I walked up to the 45s and I saw this.
Yeah, with Garbo on side B.
Yeah. Garbo.
So the first time I heard Stand Back, I was in my cousin's Kevin's car. We were driving down Lake Erie, and the new Stevie Nicks song came on, and I was 8 years old then, and the first time you hear a song, you know it's gonna be a huge hit. And the very first time I heard Stand Back, I knew that song was gonna be a smash because it sounds like a hit, and it really didn't sound like anything Stevie Nicks had done before that. With all the synthesizer stuff, this was a new sound for Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac.
It was quite a departure. That's why it was kind of funny watching kind of a disco-y thing.
Yeah.
And then it was like this was what I felt. I guess, well, that's Fleetwood Mac. But then all the memories of all the other music kind of floated down, and it just kind of out on my shoulders. It was a weird feeling, the weirdest feeling in the world. That wow, that's her. That's Fleetwood Mac for damn sure. Because it's almost like a subconscious. And, it's almost like I had always dialogues when I had dialogues with Dreams, Rhiannon. Like I said, this is like in school when Rhiannon was, on the radio, and that it would play in my head for like 2 different classes. And I said, what? I better on here. I never had that with a song like go through my over and over and over and over. And it was like, I was getting like, gosh, it's just, I don't want to get fired up or attached or fooled or anything by any. And I sort of took it down where I took away the music, I took away her vocal, and then almost like I took everything from her except like what I really think this person is. And it was like, maybe it's almost like this person here could be like family. Like, I had big family, a lot of aunts and stuff, and sister and mother, and it's like, she was kind of like, maybe she could be like a family member or something. It's kind of weird.
Right.
But
like your girlfriend, I mean, that's the great question, is who is she really?
Well,
right.
Yeah, it's, well, she's, she's about like 13 years older than me. And it was, Rhiannon's a really something. It's, I mean, her way she enunciates lyrics and her writing, it's, everybody knows that the writing is, I think it's one of a kind. Bob Dylan is a way, and all the great writers are a certain way. Stevie's up there. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
And as you said, the song is disco-y, so I think, the first video, I'm sure you guys have seen with the Civil War theme.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Totally does not work, but the second one's great.
So when the 45 came out, you flip over the back cover, and of course the 45 came out a few weeks before the actual album. So I saw the picture that was going to be the cover of the Wild Heart. Then, of course, the album came out, and I loved how Belladonna had kind of like the bluish light. And then Stevie's back. We have 3 Stevies this time, and I always thought this one was kind of scary. Like her face is so like a ghost there. So at 8 years old, I thought it was a little creepy, but awesome. You have like the ghost Stevie, the kind of transparent one. So I kind of wish, like in an alternate universe, that Stevie Nicks continued with this kind of color themed ghostly album covers, because I love how Belladonna and Wild Heart, the album covers kind of work together. Of course, you have the picture of the girls right on the back cover. On the inside,
Sandy Stewart.
Yeah, Sandy Stewart's inside with them, right?
Yeah.
So look at that 80s hair. That's some 80s hair right there.
The Wild Heart wouldn't be the Wild Heart with Sandy, her synth work and her writing and her singing.
So there we have him by the palm tree. And didn't Stevie appear on Sandy's Cat Dancer album?
Cat Dancer, yeah.
Yep, as a return. All right. So I remember going home. I bought Wild
This picture's great where they make fun of the inside picture.
Oh,
with Jimmy Iovine and this other guy.
I never saw that.
Who is that? Gordon Perry?
Maybe.
That is great.
Oh, Laurie's husband? Maybe. But the guy had that headband like Sharon Solani too.
Can you hold it up to the screen? I've never.
Okay.
They got it exactly right. They were very focused, I think, when they were.
Oh my God, that's
on that
ridiculous. I need to remake that with my friends. All right. So I buy the Wild Heart record. I take it home. I put the. So let's get into the album. I put the needle down and the song Wild Heart. Now the song Belladonna was such an epic that, you know, here's another title track from Stevie Nicks. Will it be as much of an epic as Belladonna? And hell yeah, it is. Like, you know, the dressing room video with Wild Heart. We all love the dressing room video, but I love the album version. Like, I love the final version of Wild Heart too. I love them both. So let's go around the circle and everyone tell me what you think of the song Wild Heart.
The thing about the Wild Heart one where she does it in the dressing room is that it's actually with a Lindsey Buckingham
you can't go back
track.
Right?
So the people who have covered it, I mean, they should be paying him half the royalties to him for Can't Go Back.
Yeah, Can't Go Back.
Yeah, for Can't Go Back from Mirage. That's not Stevie Nicks. Half the song's Lindsey's song.
And she sings a little bit of
actually, it's actually been covered a lot of times. I've seen like these semi-famous bands covering the da 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 Wild Heart one.
And doesn't she sing a little bit of Christine's Love in Store too in that Rolling Stone?
Well, I've never seen it.
That was a video.
It's played because she was rehearsing apparently for the upcoming Mirage, her parts or whatever.
Right, and that video is from getting ready for the Rolling Stone magazine covers.
Yeah.
So the song Wild Heart, though, first of all, I can't believe she brought it back for the 24 karat gold.
That was great. Yeah.
I can't believe how good it was. I was at a concert. I buy the concert loft for my friends, and someone dared to try to talk during Wild Heart. And like my Queen side came out a little bit. I said, "You're not going to talk. I've been waiting to hear the song live my whole life. You need to shut up. Like, don't talk during Belladonna Wild Heart live." So what do you guys think of the song Wild Heart?
It's an epic song, like she said. She played for Tom Petty. Tom Petty liked it too.
It's very cinematic.
Yeah.
Cinematic. It's a narration. It tells a story. It kind of gets you into what's coming ahead. It's kind of like a bookend to Belladonna, the whole album. It's a concept.
Sure. And I know Stevie said in interviews, you know, I had the title first, and if the title's gonna be Wild Heart, the song has to live up to it. I absolutely think it does.
It does. And I think as a title track, it's great. Maybe her second best, in my opinion. But I also think it goes on. It gets a little
monotonous.
I don't want to say over the top, but at the end, it's certainly not one you can listen to at a high volume if you're gonna kind of like maintain any sort of, I don't know, I guess it depends on the neighborhood you're in, right? But so that's what I would say about it. But certainly it's an incredible title track. And I really like, just as a side note, when she would open her albums with the title track.
That's how when she came back with Trouble in Shangri-La.
Like with Secret Love.
That was amazing. Trouble in Shangri-La is amazing, yeah.
When she did that.
Just to quote what Stevie says in Hit Parader magazine, 1983.
Okay.
Def Leppard on the cover. This one, Stevie Nicks' Magic Touch.
That's awesome.
She herself said, it's like Belladonna's heart is all wild all of a sudden. It has that James Dean, Natalie Wood feeling to it. It's just Belladonna a little more reckless.
Yes. It's
yeah.
Well, most of these songs were written about that time, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I loved on the early.
She's coming off of Mirage.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, she's coming off Mirage. There's like short periods. You know, you're getting off Belladonna in that little short tour, and then you go to. There's a story. Stevie going to the chateau in France. Excited, but it was Lindsey Buckingham and No Tea. That's one of her interviews. It was really funny.
I saw
they were there to work. And it turned out a good product. So
there's a lot of interesting things about that chateau. I don't know if that's on agenda or if we're.
Yeah,
but there are. I was
thinking
about that earlier. It's fascinating.
We'll do a Mirage one in the future for sure. Because after I'm done with Stevie, I want to go back to the beginning of Fleetwood Mac and go through all those albums. So whoever's along for the ride, I plan on doing this for a while. I loved on the early Stevie albums how she had the quotes, "Don't blame it on me," and then on Belladonna it had "Coming Out of the Darkness," and she did it on Rock a Little. But did it continue to Other Side of the Mirror? I can't remember.
I don't.
Did she do that on Rock a Little?
Because she had the "If Anyone Has Ever Written Anything for You," right? Maybe it was on the inside sleeve though, inside the back cover.
Oh, that she has something like a Time Life edition, and I dedicate this to the Vietnam veterans or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I look at
the not lyrics. Specific to Rock a Little, rocking in her old age or cradle or something like that.
Wasn't it 1,000 Days lyrics? Now that I think about it, that she had on the back.
Yes, the Time Life edition, competition, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, we need to talk about all those great tracks that she did not use in Wild Heart. There's at least 4 or so.
Yeah, we'll go through the album
after?
proper, then we'll do the demos after.
Yeah.
So, okay, before we move on to the next song, does anyone have any thoughts on Wild Heart?
Structure.
I do. I love it. It's a great, epic song. I always wondered about the whole children verse at the very end. Like, how does that tie into the first couple? Because it sounds like she's breaking up or something, and she's got a chip on her shoulder. So it always made me wonder about the children and innocence at the end.
I feel like this was a one-take vocal. Like, I feel like she was just really getting into it, and especially at the end. Like, I know they faded out a little bit earlier on the album version. There's some versions where it keeps going. And it is wild.
Which I think we're all eternally curious about those versions and how much. I don't know if you want to pass around a little tin cup or a hat or something, and we'll all to the highest bidder. I mean, we don't pay for that. What about the idea, children and innocence? What about that book that I've looked at her reading lists before to see what books she has in her library that we know of? And one of them is a book by called Ceremony of the Innocent. And
I read that. I actually bought and read that book.
Real
so there's something. I think there's something about. I think she was probably sheltered to some extent, and then maybe in 82 or whatever, in the Wild Heart times when everybody was really wild or whatever. That's sort of her version of Ceremony of the Innocent, and that's maybe what she was alluding to in that part of the song. I wonder. That's interesting, Alicia.
Interesting. I'll have to look up the book.
Modern Records did a press release for the Wild Heart album, and she herself says it was born in New York. It's just intense, and there are some wild words in it that just sort of popped up. I think that people are going to love Wild Heart, etc., so on. So
I wonder if it was born in New York in that Annie Leibovitz thing, or that morning in that.
Rolling Stone shoot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
On my gravestone, I wanted to say, "Don't blame it on me, blame it on my wild heart," because I mean, that's me right there. All right. Any thoughts on the Wild Heart, the song, before we move on?
We were discussing about when this was written. I looked at the notes, and all of them were 82, 83. Amazing. All immediate. And when they recorded, she said it was pretty much recorded live, like live.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Stevie albums kind of would draw on some older tracks, but this one was pretty of the time, right?
And all different studios. There's like 5 different studios on here. There was time limits on session players. They would get them there. They probably, it's the cocaine era. They do a little and they go for it.
A lot.
It was magic.
They would do it.
Sandy Stewart on synthesizer on that.
It's bad.
Yeah.
As Christine McVie would say, they did a toot in the dressing room. All right, so track 2. Here is the 45 for If Anyone Falls.
Yeah, that too.
So this is the song like where we really get into the new sound for Stevie Nicks. If you're listening to the album, we have Sandy Stewart that did she co-wrote this with Stevie, correct?
Like the first thing you hear on the
that synthesizer.
An amazing synthesizer. The way it starts, amazing.
Yeah,
all the way.
I love Anyone Falls, and I feel like she didn't do it in concert for many years. And then when she brought it back, I was like, hell yeah.
Good live.
She did this on the 24 Karat Gold tour, and I thought it was badass. Like,
she stopped doing it after Wild Heart, and then she brought it back for Time Space, because I saw that concert in Toronto. She did that, and then she did If Anyone Falls during the 2000 times, 2005, etc. And of course, she did it for the recent tour.
I think it was nice that she brought it back, but I think it's become one of those shout sing songs, and I don't think it's working out that well live.
No,
and I think they missed a couple. And I think they missed a couple of obvious holes in the recording of the song. What is that midsection about the shadow against the wall? Right, it's like the best part of the song, but why didn't she like rip into that a little more? You know what I mean? And so I think there's that one, and then maybe a little more vamping at the end would have made that one a little bit, and a little more on the guitar and less on the Sandy, I think would have made me like that one on the record. I love it. And I listened to it. I really liked the 91 treatment of it with the saxophone. So I'm going to try and throw some controversial stuff out there.
Do it. I'm a controversial person, so I'm also a Prince fan, so I'm not afraid of controversy.
And the video for it is great. It's a fantastic video.
On the merry-go-round?
Great video.
With the ballet dancer, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, Brad Jeffries, who was in Stand Back and Rooms on Fire and the Red Rocks.
We cannot forget his. I feel like we're gonna have a Rock Little episode. Then we need to have a Red Rocks episode just on its own. Because I could talk about that Red Rocks concert for hours.
Yeah, love the real close-ups.
Yeah, so just when you guys know when this podcast goes live, I'm gonna refilm some of my close-ups with a totally different hairstyle and from a different angle, and then dub it in. So I'm such a terrible host.
It's an aside, but if you watch the Red Rocks tour video, the part with the dub, which is real, she looks fine. I don't know why she bothered to make all those fake close-ups. She looked fine. I thought so.
And well, don't get me started because we're just going to end up talking about Red Rocks because this is my favorite. That's not till next month.
I do like the idea of a separate Red Rocks discussion because that's pretty. It's a shame we're starting this so late in the pandemic, isn't it?
I know. Well, I like being at home even during normal life, so this will be my Tuesdays forever from now on. Okay, so I like If Anyone Falls. Didn't she say that the song was kind of about her touring the Belladonna tour, or
no?
Or was it about she was saying how everyone was falling in love with each other?
Oh yeah.
So,
okay, yeah.
Where was that? If it wasn't the Belladonna tour, where was everyone? Just in her
before.
Well, she got married making this album, right?
She said that Sandy Stewart wrote her a track and then she put the words on top of it. So it's kind of like an afterthought in fitting the words to the music. That's the impression I get from what she says in her press release.
So she kind of had the same relationship with Sandy Stewart. Her and Sandy Stewart had the same relationship as kind of her and Mike Campbell, where
exactly. Yeah.
Campbell tracks, and she starts singing, and that's it.
That's what was funny when Dave Stewart came along. She's like, "This is the first time I've ever written a song with somebody," but that's playing in the same room. So when she said that, I'm like, okay.
And yet, and somebody can probably point to the pictures of her and Sandy Stewart sitting at a piano.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
In my head, playing one song. Playing the song together, the two of them at the piano, right? Can y'all see that picture in your head?
I've seen that picture.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of love about Stevie is how she kind of revises history a little bit as it goes on. I mean, I actually kind of love that.
The way that brain works.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about? So this actually does have the Chateau has some There were implications from the Chateau.
Okay.
And those
that sounds like a Tori Amos album title.
And I gotta calm down here. I keep forgetting this is gonna be on YouTube. Implications from the Chateau are, I think she wrote it, and that's kind of where the concept of that part of the music video came from, with the great big 2-story window door swinging open, is because she wrote that from the experience at the Chateau, which she talked about in that Rolling Stone article from '81. Alicia, you know what I'm talking about? Y'all know what I'm talking about, Richard? Richard, is that right? Mr. iPad?
Jim.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
I never read that, 81 article?
Yeah, it's from, I think it's it's probably from 82, because it was after they recorded in the Chateau. I don't know what pictures are in it, but she talks specifically about how she's sure that room is haunted because those doors blew open and it was this big dramatic thing that she, in that article. Okay. And so I think that's where the concept from the video came from. But didn't she clearly write in the time space liner notes that most of that song, or it's largely about Wadi Watel?
Right.
Right.
Do we all love Waddy? I love him.
Waddy.
Well, he's hung
You know,
around forever.
I've seen videos of Waddy Walk telling the 70s with Linda Ronstadt, and he looks the same in 2021.
He might have some skeletons
really
in his. He might have some skeletons in his closet, but we
Vampire, dude. They're vampires. I met Waddy in person once. Have you guys ever?
He signed something for us.
I met him in Caesars, outside of where she was doing the thing. I met him outside of the Coliseum at Caesars.
Okay.
Oh, what show?
I think 2007 one of the March 2007.
4 shows, weren't there? We went to the first and the third.
I went to the last night.
Oh, we missed each other.
We missed each other. Hey, the first show, she was really angry.
Sailing ships.
Oh, really? This is the first one. She was pissed at somebody. It was like a punk rock concert. This was a punk rock concert. That's like, did I go?
No, you're good. I had to start. Go ahead.
And then the third one, she was giddy. She was like happy and just having fun.
She got pissed at what she get worked up about in the first one. I didn't hear about that.
Well, she was just, she was angry. She was on point. You know, she was a great show.
Oh, okay.
Just
like
angry.
A punk rock show. I got you.
Something happened that day and she took it out in her art. That's what she did.
What's interesting is when you see Stevie live, you really can kind of tell what mood she's in. Because when Fleetwood Mac came to Tampa for Say You Will, she was clearly not happy. Like her body language was
very subdued.
Yeah. She was very edgy. So I've probably seen her like 12 times between all the incarnations. So not as much as some other people, but
I assume you guys have seen that Largo, Maryland the tour video.
Oh,
the one that's very dark.
The Fleetwood Mac one?
No, the Stevie Nicks one.
The Stevie one. Okay.
Yeah, Largo. I think it was done in Largo.
Famous one.
The one she drags that
Largo
little
83.
Up on stage during Stand Back.
I never saw
Elaine. Her name was Elaine, the little girl Elaine.
Girl, that was in Largo.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that was supposed to be released commercially, but then she did not because she didn't like how she looked and whatever, and it was just too dark.
Yeah. I happened to watch that recently, and what I was going to say, I think someone pulled the plug on it because she was missing her points. She would come late to the mic and stuff like it was. You know what? She was going through. You know what was going on. Everybody knows.
She was high on that tour.
So
in that show.
This is a tour where it kind of started, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the main thing was that was pretty cool though. She was singing, perfectly with holding a little girl. You know. So,
and then people have been discussing, was that planned or was it totally spontaneous, or who knows?
I think it was spontaneous. Well, I don't know. It could have been if you look at it again. And she knew her name, but I don't know. That was.
I mean, what's great about those shows compared to now? I mean, she was very spontaneous back then, and now it's very scripted. She's going to do hand gestures. That this part, she's going to turn around this part. It's very predictable what she does now on stage, unfortunately, in her old age.
Yeah.
She definitely did a lot of really interesting ad-libs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then as time went on, the ad-libs kind of became standard. So you even knew what the ad-libs
very much.
were.
You expect them, yeah.
All right, well, let's get back to the album. Track 3. Okay. I will be honest, it's never been one of my favorites.
My least favorite, too. My least favorite.
So I'm going to call on everybody, and we'll go one by one so we don't all talk over each other. I feel like it would be better get organized. So, Gate and Garden. Let's start with Jim. Do you have any thoughts on this song?
Yes, it's a very romantic confessional song. It's like an interlude between. This is a concept record, and the songs flow really good together. Mm-hmm. There's up and down, kind of taking, coming down to where you get to next is Enchanted, which is a high tempo.
Right.
It's down. It's very romantic. It's like it's vague, and I'm going to touch on this point. This album, her mood was like she knows she's loved by herself. It was very important for her to be loved as an artist by herself.
Right.
And she's in love with her fans and vice versa. That was the back. That's every artist would want something like that. And she, she's a high-strung personality, and she's adored, and she adores She doesn't give a half. She can be mad, or she can be, she can be stoned or whatever, but she comes there and she puts it all on the line.
And she wanted to prove that Belladonna wasn't a fluke for this album.
Right, yeah. Well, I think she was a little more relaxed and looser on this, and confident. There's a lot of more self-confidence here. Looseness, self-confidence, and, wrote like a storm. How many tracks are here? About 5 on the Wild Heart?
10
tracks, yeah. And they're very the Beauty and the Beast is epic. I mean, that's incredible. And just to get the people together to do this within a 6-month period and just blow it out and put it together and kick it out there to the people. So Gate and Garden, it's really an interlude to another song. It's a good song. It's very romantic. It's very passionate, very warm. It's really good. And it serves its purpose. It's not a single.
Right.
It's not a single. It's
make a B-side to a good. I think it'd make a strong B-side to a single. Maybe.
And I don't know if it's even a live kind of thing either. That's a hard.
Oh, that might be good as an interlude live. I think it'd be good as a live. It's one of my favorites on the album.
It is the B-side to Nightbird. It is the B-side.
Look at that.
Okay.
So Roland, do you have any thoughts on?
I have to say it's my least favorite. It sounds like a filler song, and I'll quote Stevie because it's very mysterious what the song is about. She says, "It's all through my diary. What are they going to ask me about this song? Because I don't know what Gate and Garden is about." I guess it's my idea of escapes, places that I go to, things that I do, and think about. This is my private, silent, secret garden world that belongs to nobody else. That's what she says.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I just think that it's the weakest song on the album, and it could have been replaced by one of the other better songs that did not make it on the album, which we'll talk about after.
Right.
Like Violet and Blue.
Oh yeah. Alicia, what do you think of Gate and Garden?
It's probably my least favorite off of the whole album.
So that's 3 of us.
Well, when I heard All the Beautiful Worlds, that's the one that I wish that would have gone onto the record, but it may have not fit in quite as well. And
she does pride herself on creating the best running order.
She likes a good sequence. She claims to sequence rumors.
Yep,
claims that. So
allegedly.
Nathan, do you have any thoughts on Gate and Garden before we move on?
Well, I didn't mean to step on. I hope I didn't jump on what you were saying, Jim. But what I said earlier, and I agree really with Jim's points. I think it's very romantic. I like the idea of it as an interlude. Although I would argue that maybe it would work better as a live interlude than it does on the album. But I like it. I like that idea. It kind of feels it because it's so short. And her press release, I wonder if Roland has the actual print copy of that, or if he has it.
It's a full copy.
Deal. That's so cool.
Modern Records.
I love that press release. I've read that a couple of times.
And I read it before.
And it is so good. I wish she had done more with that in the record, But her description of that, I can't. The way that she described it in there about she doesn't even really know what it's about, and it's a secret garden. That's what it sounds like. It's like a secret garden song,
I wish she did that for every one of her albums, the track by track. I love that. That's kind of what we're doing here.
I think in the media and stuff, there might be some very personal stuff in some of these songs, and she doesn't want to open a can of worms.
Yeah, that's
because you might lose the best session guy because.
Do you know why I could never get past this song? The there's a gate, it can be guarded. Like I just couldn't.
Yes.
And I still can't get past it.
And the Guardian, and now you know what? It's very stream of consciousness.
Well, let's move on.
It's beautiful though.
I do like how it's like kind of like a warm blanket. Like the song does have kind of like a warm, the harmonies and stuff. The girls. So
who plays on Roy Bitten's doing the piano?
Yeah, Roy Bitten's on the piano. Now I will say, as we get into some of Stevie's later albums, there's some songs I really don't like. And this isn't one of them. Like it might be my least favorite on the album, but I still like it decently. Does that make sense? Because there's some songs later on that I'm just like, woof, and this is not one of them. All right. Any thoughts on Gate and Garden before we move on?
Well, not for me.
No, I think like Alicia said, I would love if she did All the Beautiful Worlds or the other ones we'll talk about later instead of that song.
All right. Well, Enchanted was a rockin' song.
Yes.
Never expected it to be the name of a tour and the name of a box set. So when that happened in 1998, when Enchanted kind of got a second life, and it's been in all the tours since then, hasn't it? I think, if not most of them.
More or less, yeah, more or less.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't love the live versions of this. Like I feel like the album version kind of rocks a little harder than it does live sometimes. I feel like there's so much energy in this. But let's go around the circle. Jim, what do you think of
what?
Oh,
me?
Who started talking? Was that you, Nathan?
No. I remember Enchanted when I first heard it. There's this Jim Ladd Wild Heart interview, and I heard quite a few of these then. And it's like when she said 1, 2, 3, 4 in her voice, like you never heard her. Well, I mean, she was doing that interview, but her voice and then the piano playing, and then it just kicks ass all the way. Yeah. It's a rock song, but it's a very country, Southern belle vocal, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, Stevie her voice is a country trained. That's her, like in her culture, you know, and she's got some blues tendencies. She's got jazz tendencies. She's got some, there's some nuances to her, and R&B and everything. She can go with a group of people and be creative, like David Grohl, that little thing there.
Oh yeah, I like that song.
We Can't Fix This. And then she went up, there was this one, I don't know which, Camel or somebody. I think it was the Tonight Show. She went in front of the band Roots with Edge of 17 and fit right in. She fit in with people. She can adapt and not be fake about it. She can morph in and associate with all types of musicians. Yeah. And I can't find that Edge of 17, that Roots version on YouTube. But NBC's, they hold shit back. Yeah. But they hold back their copyright stuff, and
that was a good one. I remember that one.
That interview she did back then were great. There was Sandy Stewart on that one, and Sandy just talks a lot, and Stevie talks a lot, and she had a good rapport with that guy. They were very intimate interviews.
Yeah.
She was. I mean, there was there was cocaine, but she was really good about putting her bullet points all the way through that interview with Dad. And that was a good interview, but
have you other guys heard? Have you heard that interview? It might be on YouTube.
I did. It's been a while, but
I found it and I put it in bookmarks somewhere. I think I only found recently half of it. All the other interviews are on YouTube, but the Wild Heart one with Jim Ladd that's my favorite.
That's fun. Yeah.
That was like where Stevie was going to prove something to me. If she's going to be a flake or, because people can be writers and you can hear them on the radio and they can be different people but she's the person she is, or she reflects her writing.
Right.
Let's
stay on track with the album though, you guys.
Right.
Hey, Nathan, what do you think of Enchanted?
I think it's a great song, and there is that, of course, the famous Jim Ladd interview one from '83, but there's also another one, and if someone can point me to, I think I've only read it, I've only seen it in print, but it's the one where she talks about. Actually, no, I think I've heard it. It's the one where she talks about how she wrote that song "Enchanted" in the back of a limo.
Really?
Oh, it's on the press release. It says on the press release right here.
It's on the press release.
Oh, yeah.
Roland, please take it away then.
Oh, she rode in a car from New York to Long Island.
It's a different limo than Belle Fleur.
Well,
I wonder about that.
Is that all she says in there about when she wrote it?
We heard the instrumental
for Enchanted, which is also Can't Go Back.
Constructive traveling, I call it. That's what she says. She doesn't say very much about it.
Constructive travel.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think it's a fun song, but I think it's I've heard it so many times that if she dropped it for the recent 24K tour, I wouldn't have been
you wouldn't have noticed
about it, and she did something else.
Do you guys feel like the song live doesn't live up to the electricity, like the potential I feel like it just has so much potential on the album. I love the album version. I just feel like it's a little flat live, in my opinion.
But it may have a lot of layers on the studio version. That
Right.
may be harder for them to put when they go live.
Alicia, what do you think of this song?
Well, I love it. I love the tambourine at the beginning. I always feel like I've got to be, and then dance around. It's such an upbeat song. It's such a positive. It's also interesting when I started really listening to, or I guess you get through her whole catalog. Here's another idea, is to start connecting all these songs. Because this one has
the lyrics from Destiny, right?
Yes. I'm destined to fall.
When Street Angel came out and I heard those lyrics, I'm like, where have I heard this before?
Yeah.
But didn't she record?
That's 20 points in the scavenger hunt right there.
Didn't she record a version of Destiny for Wild Heart that got shelved?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be
think
surprised.
that song's from way back. Way back, like in the 70s.
Do we all agree that Enchanted is better than Destiny, though?
Yes.
Yes. I just found Destiny lazy. If she's gonna recycle words from another song, that's lazy. And then she took words from Blue Lamp into Welcome to the Room, Sarah. I mean, write something else.
But I do think she wrote. I read somewhere that she wrote Destiny and Enchanted at the same time. So I don't know if she actually did borrow them. But
there's an interview out there somewhere where she talks about having wrote the song in a really awkward position in the car, and she wrote it right over the hump of the whatever the thing is, that big, I can't think of another word for it right now, that runs right. Yeah. And so then she was really kind of trying to, it was a funny moment in an interview with, I think it was Jim Ladd, and you can,
it was probably written in 3 minutes. A lot of her stuff is. It's very Stevie. It's very much her personality when she's a little bit, not necessarily she was inebriated at all. She had like her up and very playful moments. It's a very playful song. I bet the band loved playing that song.
Doesn't it sound like they're having a good time as they record? Like it sounds like they're having a good time.
Yes.
Eyes of the World.
I think it's a cross-pollination of a bit of Springsteen and Tom Petty.
I agree. All right.
I will go back to the Destiny and Enchanted and borrowing lyrics. I always thought it was her way of like expounding or connecting songs and kind of
continuing the narrative.
Yes, like expanding, or you can almost say like a project or a semi.
Yes.
So that's what I always thought of it.
She even does that on Say You Will, right? Say You Will, like Destiny Rules and Illuminate, or how we pronounce it, have some of the
the snake, the shining snake, the black sky, the snake, yeah.
I actually love that.
Diamond snake.
Hi.
Yes.
Come on. Nothing better than when she sings it. I mean, that's the mature Stevie that I love.
Yeah.
A very seasoned person. Yeah. When I listen to the record today, I might not even buy it now because it's kind of a little bit not immature, but someone that hasn't seen the world so much yet.
Right.
But she's certainly seen.
Well, side one of the record ends with here's the 45, another
Nightbird.
Oh, my favorite
another
song
Sandy Stewart collaboration, correct?
Yes.
This is another song that's very synth heavy.
My favorite from her.
Yeah,
it so encapsulates Stevie's mythology and the ladies in the capes and the nightbirds and darkness and all those kind of the shadows and things like that. It's very Stevie Nicks.
Don't you guys feel it sounds like it feels too? Like it sounds like
those minor chords that begin the song. Yeah,
those are weird chords. Those are weird chords.
I love the song. It's probably my favorite song from her, but I don't feel that it should have been a single.
No, it's definitely not single.
It's not meant for the public. It did go up to number 30 or the high 30s.
30s, yeah.
But, yes, but that was because on the strength of her being popular back then.
What do you think?
Like after the glitter Face was a single, but it didn't go that far. But because she was famous, it went somewhere.
Yeah, a little.
But I think something like maybe if Nothing Ever Changes or even Enchanted, it could have been the third single.
Enchanted.
I vote for
popular
Enchanted.
than Nightbird. Yeah, that could have been the third single. That might have been more commercially successful.
I don't know if Enchanted was even played on the radio as a like a deep track on rock radio.
I don't think it was
a deep track. It wasn't a single, but I didn't feel that it was something the public would appreciate because the lyrics are so
dark,
mysterious that you can't really relate to it. That's how you sell a song. People have to relate to it and understand it. And she's talking about wearing boots and her blankets and stuff like that. And what's she talking about?
I feel like
we love it because we love her mythology.
Yeah, we can relate to it.
It's confusing to them.
But the world can't relate to it because I feel like we are wearing our boots all summer long. You know what I mean? But that's why we're like the Stevie fans. I think the general public can get behind a Stand Back or.
But the Solid Gold live.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That is epic. Stevie didn't want to do a lip sync, and she brought the band in and did I think that was totally live. And where she lit her and Laura at the end, you can't have TV. That is just one of the perfect moments in television.
They don't film TV like that anymore.
No,
that's real. That was awesome.
Yeah. And wasn't she the only artist to ever not lip sync on Solid Gold? Or am I imagining things?
Which is the coolest.
Good for her.
But wasn't the SNL one just a little bit better?
Was that the Stand Back?
It's rougher, but it's live compared to the Solid Gold one, which the track was pre-recorded. But
Alicia, do you feel a little like being in Fleetwood Mac, being in the boys' club here?
Well, it's just interesting to hear everybody's ideas. Well, to me, I like this song because as a music person, with the chorus, how you've got kind of like a round. That's what I like about Stevie is that she does these things like, you've heard it in different music, like the round that she does in Nightbird, but you don't really hear it in a lot of pop songs or mainstream. So it makes it kind of original.
And it's her and Sandy Stewart singing, correct?
Yes, because she does and when I call, will you come gently through my shadow? And Sandy sort of answers her.
Like when they kiss in the video.
Yeah.
You guys know the moment I'm talking about?
Yeah.
To Jim's point, I think they don't make TV like that very much anymore. That was a great moment.
And of course, she quotes "Edge of 17" at the end of the song in the fade out with the white wing.
Right.
Yeah.
And interestingly, the song is about her friend Robin Anderson getting sick, and she's hoping that
was part
find a cure for cancer because they got inspired by this song.
That was part of the nuances of this album of losing Robin,
getting married to her ex-husband.
Oh God!
Yeah, there was so much going on.
It was really the wild heart, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think this was a bit of an escape for her from her real life, and go up there and get in a studio and bang out a song real quick and have some fun and have great musicians and fine.
All right. Well, do we have any other thoughts on Nightbird before we take a little 5-minute break?
Oh, just the Sandy Stewart really adds to this, the blend, and she comes in there with a lead. I mean, we're sit on her own shoulders. It sounds very pretty. Really, I'm really, sometimes you have a guest singer and they're not up to stuff, and Sandy's pulls it off.
Macy Gray.
And on the single, on the sleeve.
I hear Macy in that.
And on the sleeve, Sandy even gets credited as, with Sandy Stewart.
Right.
Too. So, Stevie was trying to build her career back then.
Their voices really blended like beautifully.
What do you think that was about, the whole building of the the building of the career? And when they're on that interview with each other and they're just gushing over each other in that Texas sweet tea way, it's like something, I don't know. They might have, I don't know. It's just interesting. That's a whole interesting interview. Certainly they were good. Drugs make good close friends with people quickly in general. So that probably explains that. But
Jeez. what's the one with Fleetwood Mac? Seven Wonders. I think Sandy wrote that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about
additional lyrics by Stevie Nicks, which means she only changed one word, right? Emmeline.
Emmeline. Yeah. And she wrote maybe Love Will Change Your Mind too, and Too Far from Texas.
I love Maybe Love Will Change Your Mind. That's another one you can't get me started on because I could talk about Street Angel for hours. I love that one.
Talk about that for a long.
They should have done a video for a, in your mind. They should have been. I was waiting for a video for that, and there wasn't, because it's a very good song. That was the down era. She got to be a nobody for a while, really.
Yes. 4 months from now, we're going to be talking about Street Angel, and I can't wait. No pun intended. All right. Well, let's take a 5-minute break. All right. Welcome back to Phonogenics 101. If you're watching this, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the videos. In the comments, tell us what songs you love, what songs you don't love. We're about to continue our discussion of Stevie Nicks' second solo album, The Wild Heart. And I just want to mention, I loved the Wild Heart logo, that kind of icy heart that looked kind of frozen. I just thought it was very awesome, like in very 80s. I don't know. I kind of want a Wild Heart t-shirt now with the original logo. We're going to have a lot to talk about because we're about to talk about one of Stevie Nicks' most popular songs. We're about to talk about the first single of the album. The legend is that Stevie Nicks was driving down the highway with her new husband, and Prince's Little Red Corvette came on the radio, and Stevie just started singing along, but she did her own song. She had her own song to sing to Little Red Corvette. That's happened a few times in Stevie's career, correct? It happened to Dire Straits' Mark Knopfler, but she wasn't allowed to release that song for many years because he blocked it. She loves him still. What song was that? She loves him still.
Oh, the instrumental part is exactly like that Mark Knopfler song. That's why he's in there.
She was singing along to one of the albums, just like she did to Little Red Corvette.
I thought they wrote it together, but no, she just took that part. She just took it and
she was just singing along.
Here's 50%, whether you like it or not.
All right, so Stand Back was debuted on the US Festival, correct? The album wasn't out yet. It's interesting to hear that first live version because now she has the song. She's done it 8,000 times. She has every little kick and nuance, and she does a spin. But it's interesting to see these early versions when everything wasn't so scripted, and it really was kind of the Wild Heart.
Yeah, like a solid gold version. That's fantastic.
Oh, that one's rough in a great way. You know what I mean? Like it's very like an unpolished diamond. So Steve, they had the Linn drum. That was the drum machine that was big in '83. We didn't know this till many, many years later, but it was Prince on the synthesizer. And, at the time he wasn't credited on the album. I didn't know that till she said it in the interview. Did she even in the time space liner notes, she didn't say that Prince was on the song, did she?
No, it's not in the liner notes.
No, I feel like it wasn't until like the 2000s when we found out that
added him. Did they use or just write Prince in there?
Yeah. The first time I heard this song, it sounded so different than any other Stevie Nicks song. I mean, it's 1983, synth pop is coming out of England, and here comes Stevie Nicks with like this, it's almost like a club banger, you know what I mean? And she kind of never had a song like this again, not quite like this. Stand Back is such a one-of-a-kind song in her catalog. So I could talk about it for hours, and I don't want to take up all the time, so Alicia, let's start with you. What do you think of Stand Back? Oh, you just took a bite of something, didn't you? We'll go to Nathan, then we'll come back to Alicia.
Well, it's a great song. It's classic. It ranks up there with all of her other handful of classics. I don't have much to say about it because I think she's said enough, and I feel as though we kind of have almost the whole story behind it. I'm curious to know more about how the basketball, I guess there was a little pickup game that was played. I'd like to know more about that. And one of the things that I really like about the song is just the last 5 seconds. If you just crank the volume, there's a bunch of vamping there that I don't think any of us have ever heard, which is a shame. So that's on my. That's one of those that would probably be on my top 5 songs that I would like to hear her do more of at the end. You know, right? Or maybe I'm mixing up with If Anyone Falls, but I'd like to hear some outtakes and some different things of it. Although I don't think there's very many.
I've never heard one at all. You know,
Nope.
Does one exist?
It's kind of like a one and done with this one. Before we go on, did anyone else hate how when Fleetwood Mac did the song, they turned it into one word, so it's just Stand Back as one word? That drove me nuts. It was like on the chain box set, right? Where they had the live version.
Oh, yeah. On side 1 was the first CD. Yeah.
Like, you know, I can't get behind that. And that's the only song that Fleetwood Mac ever did from Stevie Nicks' solo career, correct?
No. The 87 tour, she did. Has anyone ever written for you? Anything for you?
Did she? I didn't know.
Yeah, she did. I was there. I saw that tour. My first time seeing her live in 87.
Interesting. So, Alicia, what do you think of Stand Back?
Well, the thing that pops in my mind is I remember a relationship not working out, and this was the song that I put on and played over and over and over again several years ago. So this is just, it's such a big hit. It makes you want to dance. It's Stevie loud and angry, and
he's pissed. Yep.
Yes. And I guess the best lyrics, or the ones I always listen to or look for, is read in between my lines.
It's almost like
no one knows how I feel, what I say, unless you read in between my lines. And I always love that. I think it's such an interesting line from her.
Yeah.
Very much how she communicates is through her music. So
cool. Jim, what do you think of
Yeah. Other than being rudely introduced to it, you know, watching MTV, watching clips, and wow, this is Fleetwood Mac. And it's like I remember, you know, I was watching, and you see right at the front they put the name Stevie Nicks. Who's that? I don't know. And then right in the middle of it's Fleetwood Mac, and it's got, you know, but it's a very angry, passionate song. It's anger. There's anger there that created. It's, you know, and a lot of that, you know, that sells, or I mean, that reaches people.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, at the end, like after it's done, it's like you feel energy, like you want to get out there and accomplish something. It's very empowering, a very empowering song. About the music itself, for a disco or a drum machine type song, there's 3 guitars on it. There's some good guitar work on it. Lukather, Waddy's in. Where's Stand Back? Waddy's in it. Lukather, David Williams. I'm not familiar with him. I don't know if he's even elsewhere on the record. A lot of people on this record.
I feel like Lukather played on some Joni Mitchell albums.
Okay, yeah. Belladonna is pretty much a tight group. This has a lot of extra, you know, a lot of add-ons, you know, a lot of talented people, great people.
Roland, what do you think of Stand Back?
It's a great track, great video. The Civil War one doesn't make much sense, and I'm glad she did the second one because it really fit that dancey
on the conveyor belt,
flash dance, fame kind of you know what's going on there.
Didn't she shelve the original video because she felt like she looked too fat in it? Which she did not at all.
Yeah, that's what I read, but I think she looked okay. It's just that it doesn't fit the theme of it.
There's some guys standing up and they're being shot up against the wall. That's a little bit over the top.
Yeah, I need her on the conveyor
I thought
belt.
so too. That was much.
Remember that she's riding that horse? And she could have lost Stevie right there.
I need her on the conveyor belt with that 1983 feathered hair. That's what I need from this video.
You can't beat it. They don't make them like that anymore.
Now,
what do you guys think about the impact that her short-lived marriage might have had on this song? And what about that opening line, which is just about no one looked as I walked by? Is that about walking down a wedding aisle?
Maybe.
And the invitation. In other words, maybe she didn't want all those people to come who came. In other words, maybe just to have accepted the invitation
Wow.
would have been
You might
sufficient. What about that?
That's an interesting idea.
I never even thought of that, to be honest.
I read that Don Henley didn't want to go to the wedding, and Christine McVie didn't really want to go either because everybody thought it was such a strange wedding.
And it was like
They all did. They all went.
Yeah.
And isn't Stevie still friends with Robin's son to this day?
Yes, Matthew. Yeah, they were. I've seen a picture of him the way he is now, and they're like she's his godmother.
That's so sweet.
Stepmother.
A son or a daughter. And this is a cool story where this, what's his name? Lost my train. What is his name? The Robin's son?
Matthew.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows. That's funny.
But I think it might be a daughter, and she looked up at Stevie and says, something about grandma, and I mean that really. I don't know if it's an interview or a little something. It was. I thought it was pretty cute that she didn't have her kids of her own, but I think in her inner circle, she's really important.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she's a very important it's not the money. She's like the matriarch.
Right. Everyone with their moon necklaces.
It's the money. It's who she is. She's good to people around her. I mean, and it shows on records. I mean, she brings a lot out of people on in her work.
I like that she brings different people, but then she has her core group that she stayed loyal to all these years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes.
I do have to say, as far as live versions of Stand Back, my favorite moment is during Red Rocks, where the backup singer is like, "It's all right," and Steve's like, "It's not all right." And I watch that over and over. I'm like, if you look at the Red Rocks, you can see her like do this crazy high kick, like it's way in the background, but it's like from the original footage before the overdubs. So, and I also love how the intro goes on for like 20 minutes. Like, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Bobby Hall's like playing the bongos.
Yeah. She had.
And wasn't the Wild Heart tour where Stevie introduced that 80s looking floor that was in her tour for a few years?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I hadn't realized that. I guess she didn't do that until that tour. No, the Aztec Landing, I think, was the.
Yeah, Aztec Landing.
Was the square microphone still here for this tour, or was that just Belladonna and Mirage?
Oh.
I love that square microphone that's one of her things, Well, cool. She still does Stand Back. It's a crowd pleaser. I'd be okay if I never heard it live again because
it's a crowd energy song. You throw that in, crowd gets it's an energy song. Stevie gets energy from the crowd, and the crowd gets energy from her in that song. And it's an angry song which everybody can relate to.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like Dreams and a Landslide. It has to be in set, whether you like it or not.
And Edge of 17, of course.
Edge too.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Which incidentally she cut short for the last tour.
We talked about that last time.
I'm wondering it's because she's getting older. Her voice is just she can't do it for 15 minutes.
Well,
maybe it has to do with
maybe
Waddy. Maybe Waddy can't hit that for 15 minutes.
Can you imagine? I mean, I'm sure Waddy's carpal tunnel is completely because of Edge of 17. Like, he can just blame, reason for carpal tunnel, Edge of 17. Like, he can just write that on the medical.
That he has to practice a week beforehand. It's like cracking walnuts, he says, just doing that E chord over and over again.
He regrets writing that. He's like, I should have made it. I should have made it 8th notes, not 16th.
Hey, there's a story about that intro. That is, Waddy was emulating a Police song. I think it's Into the Dark or something. It's a minor Police song, and he almost got in trouble for what I did is I looped the tape. I took a cassette tape and I recorded the Police and the Edge of 17 very identical. I mean, I record one and the other, and I looped it and yeah, it's really damn close because I was listening to Police stuff. Hey, that sounds like Edge.
for my Madonna and Prince groups, I do have a Facebook chat. So if y'all are on Facebook, add me, Jeremy Gloff, and we can drop all these little things in the chat so we can all listen to all the little things we mentioned.
But back to Sandy Stewart, her keyboard playing on Stand Back, it made her throughout the song. It's great. And there was an interview where Stevie said that when Prince came to the studio, he complimented Sandy Stewart on her playing.
So Prince was just doing the
very beginning, that in the middle part.
Okay.
And then in the beginnings, was
that 16th notes, 8th notes?
Yeah, and then in the middle parts, do like she said.
That's a very Prince. That's a very Prince hook, and those keyboards are very Sandy Stewart. Like if you listen to "If Anyone Falls" and "Stand Back," she definitely had a style on the synth.
Yeah, that
they are.
There's a song she does on her own record on Cat Dancer called "Status Victory" that sounds kind of like "If Anyone Falls." It's her style. She has a style.
I wish she would have stuck around longer because I think they had a good chemistry. I know they did a couple one-offs later on.
Yeah,
if we could go back in an alternate universe, Stevie and Sandy worked more together.
I wish that Sandy Stewart's album came out in '83, so she would have been an opening act for Stevie Nicks, and they would have let's sing, Nightbird together and stuff.
Because by the time Cat Dancer came out, it was kind of like a little too late.
It was like 84, 85-ish,
right?
Or so, right?
I feel
everything you end up with like several artists that block other artists. Like Madonna was huge,
right?
Madonna, whole world out, and Sandy didn't get a foothold. She had pretty good material.
Yeah,
it's lightning in a bottle. I mean, Lindsay and Stevie were like about ready to hang it up, and get married and start a family and stuff. And
it's interesting because I feel like in the pre-Madonna universe, Sandy Stewart was like a commodity. But then when someone like Madonna comes along, it almost makes Sandy Stewart's kind of thing a little dated. I hate to say.
Well, it's kind of what's hot,
Yeah.
If you're a really good writer and a singer and creative, and you kind of adjust with what's kind of hot too. The Rolling Stones have done like a disco number stuff,
sure. Which is interesting because I know we're not there yet, but I feel like Stevie Nicks with Rock a Little made it happen. Like it's hard to exist in the after Madonna world, but I think Stevie did it.
Yeah.
And maybe she wouldn't have been able to do it if she would have stuck with Sandy Stewart. So, maybe everything happened the way it was meant to.
Sandy's helped Stevie out with other songs, and
I love her. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm dissing Sandy Stewart because I think she's amazing.
There's a great track on Sandy Stewart's record called "Get My Way." It's the second one after "Cat Dancer." The song, it's a great funky track. It's unfortunate that she's not. We only know everyone knows her in the context of Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, I only ever listened to the 2 songs that Stevie sings on. To be honest with you,
the whole record's good, man. The whole album's good.
It just got reissued on CD a few years ago, so I bought the.
Nathan,
CD
you talking about Cat Dancer?
There was a Blue Yonder group too. That was
yes, that's with House of Love. That's a great song. If you want to look it up on YouTube.
So Sandy Stewart, is she still around? Does she have a social media presence?
Remember that?
I heard she's a special ed teacher. She does music for healing with kids. That's her thing now in Texas. So she's around.
We needed her on this. I should have looked up Sandy Stewart and been like, "Come talk about Wild Heart with us."
Wild Heart.
We might have a chance.
I know. If you all can think of anyone that I need to look up for Rock a Little.
You need to look up Brad Jeffries. He's a very nice person. I actually wrote him a fan letter, believe it or not. I got a reply.
Really?
Okay. Her dancer. And, he has great stories about her. He said that because Stevie Nicks has a story that after she did, when Prince came to the studio and did his part with her in the studio, I never saw him again, which is not true because Brad Jeffries said that he sat between Stevie and Prince watching TV.
Right.
When the Stand Back video premiered on MTV. So, her association with Prince was not as cut short as she claims it to be.
Right. Which, again, is Stevie rewriting history, which we love.
She has her own mythology,
Yeah.
Prince borrowed a lot of his look from Stevie. A lot of, and Steven Tyler, the thing on the microphone.
Oh,
the stuff on the microphone.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler.
We could get Marilyn Martin, too.
Well,
Oh, that'd be an interesting one.
Stevie was like, Stevie was, they quote Stevie being the first, female artist to have like a uniform,
Sure.
Just the whole bit. I mean, she just blazed trails all over the place.
It's interesting because her uniform did kind of change because like you had the Rhiannon look with the rumors. Then she had like that kind of like perm for the Tusk tour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Belladonna. It's interesting because the early Stevie albums, I feel like her look and voice were very specific to that era. Like if a new demo leaked, I think we'd be able to tell, is this a Belladonna or Wild Heart or Rock Little? Just by her voice. It was kind of different on each album, I feel.
Yes.
Wild Heart, it was kind of a little raspier, but not quite Rock a Little yet. But she wasn't hitting the high notes still. You know what I mean? So Wild Heart was an interesting, very fast period for Stevie's career. Don't you all feel like it was just like lightning in a bottle, Jim, like you said? That's how I feel about this album.
It was, I think it was put together in a couple of weeks. That's kind of what's quoted on the Jim Ladd interview.
Yeah.
And it was, fresh and live.
I like that.
Belladonna was controlled, and they didn't want to mess up. They didn't want to be cavalier about it and drop the ball, because come on, to be laughed at being a failure after being in this huge band Fleetwood Mac, and she wanted to prove to Lindsay and everybody that she can be viable. I mean, she's my favorite artist, period.
Yeah.
And passing up Fleetwood Mac. And I love the older catalog, this stuff. I love some of that stuff. Kiln House is a great
love Kiln House. I love all those early albums, like Future
good.
Games and Bare Trees and stuff. I mean, I could go
of
another Bob Welsh conversation. We could go down.
We got
Annie Kerwin, or whatever, amazing.
Speaking of Stand Back, isn't there wait a minute. There's a Fleetwood Mac 1982 tour rehearsal floating around tape, and I think Edge of 17 is on that, so they were considering doing that on stage with Stevie Nicks, which is very strange. They had some very odd songs on that rehearsal tape.
Lindsay's like, nope, I don't think so. Lindsay's like, I'm not playing that Waddy part. I don't think so.
He probably
we'll let Billy Burnett and Rick Vito do it later.
Rick Vito.
They don't count, unfortunately.
Which I know we're going off on like 10 million tangents, but you know what? Whatever.
I will.
I never liked the Behind the Mask album. Then I discovered it last year, and it's all I listened to for like 3 months.
It's fantastic.
Like, oh my God. Like they really expanded and really like branched out in a way they never had before. So I'm sorry. That's a whole nother conversation, but I love that album.
Have you guys, well, you just said we said we could go on tangents.
Yeah. So that's my tangent for the minute.
Let's make it 4 hours.
All right. Back to Wild Heart. Well, I was never a big fan of I Will Run to You.
Good.
I love that song. I love it more than Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Really? I just always felt like it was like, whatever. So you tell us why you love that song. If you love the song, tell me why.
It's a great song. I mean, I think Stop Dragging My Heart Around has been so overplayed, but this song, I just love the bridge. The bridge part is fantastic. I love that part. And she's actually done it live on stage with Tom Petty in New York City. There are tapes floating around at Radio City Music Hall.
You see, I feel like Stop Dragging My Heart Around added a hit single to Belladonna that maybe it needed. I feel like I Will Run to You didn't add anything to Wild Heart that a Stevie Nicks original could have added, in my opinion.
It gives you kind of it connects the Belladonna with this record.
Okay.
Today, and that's the Heartbreakers, and it kind of it's a reminder. It's another romantic song that kind of fits the whole concept of this. And good.
Make it easy for me, baby. I've been lonely. I think I love that part.
I do like the bridge.
The bridge that comes after that, the instrumental part before they start singing the I Will Run to You again. I love that part.
It's very Heartbreaker sounding, of course.
Yes, very true.
Really
very true. And as an aside again, I think Mabel Normand sounds very Heartbreaker-ish.
I love Damn Mabel Normand. I know it's a hot damn.
I think that's a great track. It's just weird. It's
but when I saw
consciousness, but it's fantastic.
When I saw the track list for 24 Karat Gold and I saw Mabel Normand on there, I'm like, You've got to be effing kidding me.
I know, because the demo was awful. The demo was boring and just nothing. But the track on the 24 karat
It's
is
the
amazing.
best. It's one of the best
Yes.
I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, we're such big Stevie fans, like we can't help but jump all over the discography.
Yeah.
There's so many tangents.
But Mabel Norman was part of the Rock a Little, right? So we'll get back to Mabel next month.
Yeah. And Battle the Dragon, and then She Loves Him Still. Not gonna.
That's gonna be a 4-hour discussion. So just
Leave the Mountains.
You're gonna have to start this at 7.
Yeah, we'll start at 7 for Rock a Little because it's gonna be a long discussion. Just like it's gonna be longer than the intro to Edge of 17 on the Red Rocks video. All right, Nathan, do you have any thoughts on "I Will Run to You"? You haven't weighed in on this one.
Nothing. I agree with Jim. It hangs well with the whole theme of the record, and I think it's. I'm kind of curious now about. We all know how Insider came about. We know how Stop Dragon, The Hearts Around came about. I don't know the whole origin story of this song, but it does seem to me to be one that was probably written completely by Tom Petty. Would be my.
Who wrote it?
Tom Petty solo, right? Wasn't this just a Tom Petty song that he brought?
Yeah, I think so.
The origin, according to the official press release, is that Tom Petty wrote it for her, and she was very grateful.
Yeah, you know she wasn't going to turn
pretty
it
much
down.
And I like that it is a connection to the first record. It's a bridge.
Yeah,
a bridge, which is good.
I agree with that. I do like a continuity between anything. I love patterns and continuity and connections.
And to your point a second ago, I think that's one of the things we like about her is that she has the same core group of people, like you were just mentioning a second ago. We like some of that continuity and consistency from one piece to the next.
Can I ask you guys something? And this is off topic. We're going to get back on topic in a second. But I actually like Stevie Nicks better with her solo band than with Fleetwood Mac. Live. Like, I feel
that's a great argument for and against.
Because I feel like her and Waddy still have like a real big chemistry. You know what I mean? There's so much. The 24 Karat Gold Tour had so much energy, and she was so happy to be there. Compared to
this is good. Let's say there's 2 Stevie Nickses. One's in Fleetwood over here in this stadium, same city, and one's with the Stevie group. I would go to the Stevie group.
I think I'd go to the Stevie group.
They have a lot of fun. They're not tight. You know, like they're worrying about, making a mistake or something. Or, Lindsay was a little bit like overbearing. And, that's a discipline, of course. And but I'd rather go have a go fun.
Nobody's complaining when the records are selling.
I know. But Jim, we can't leave Christine there by herself though at the other stadium. I love
when
Christine.
The units are moving.
Yeah.
People ain't squawking.
I love Lindsey Buckingham.
It can be 2 places at once.
Yeah.
And so, like she was that way anyway.
Yeah.
That most drove her nuts, I would think. I mean, that's a huge burden, especially, gosh, you go from a Tusk, Belladonna, Mirage, Wild Heart, Rock a Little, and then Tango, all that in your span. Just being commitments, the promotion, the whole thing, just preparing, practicing, doing the albums themselves.
And Rock a Little was such a tortured process that is why we're gonna have a 20-hour discussion next month. That's gonna start we have to start at 9 a.m. and it's gonna go to 9 p.m. All right, moving on with the album.
Okay. It never changes.
Nothing ever changes. All right. Speaking of Stevie being
I love it.
She is fired up here. The
Yes.
castanets and she's shaking the percussion in the intro. The intro is very dramatic. Her vocals are very dramatic. This is another one where there's not a lot of outtakes, right? I feel like there's an outtake that has like an instrumental before she cut her vocals, if I remember correctly. But this album is unique that there's just not as many demos and outtakes as there are for her other albums because I think it happened so fast. It was such a quick era.
Oh,
that's true. Yeah.
Leaked out stuff.
Because Rock a Little, there are lots of demos floating around them. These songs that about maybe a dozen or so that were never used. But
Belladonna, they brought everything she had in her trunk, dumped it out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's make a record. and pick through, and then Irene comes and says, "Oh, you don't have a single." Tom has this, because Stevie doesn't write. She says she don't write singles. She don't write for like consumption. She writes for herself first, and people
wishes she could
listen.
I feel like "Stand Back" is a single though. Like Stevie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
She was wrong because "Stand Back" is definitely a single.
No,
I think Nothing Ever Changes would have been a better single commercially than Nightbird.
It would have been a rock radio song on the radio, I think. It's very dramatic, very angry.
And speaking of like bridges between albums, I always felt like Nothing Ever Changes kind of was similar to me as maybe like the No Spoken Word on Rock a Little. Like that kind of like really angry song that comes towards the end of the album.
The Love Is Like a River on Street Angel too. That kind of vibe.
I hate that. I love it. Love Is Like a River. She puts a lot in that.
It's so interesting because the original demo is such like an 80s like synth pop song.
I'm making notes on the conversation and also making notes on comments and questions I have in the background. And one of it's going to be my damn playlist for later is what I'm making notes on.
I love it. I mean, what can really be said about Nothing Ever Changes?
Sandy Stewart again.
Sandy Stewart.
Okay.
Well, it seems like she's really tantalizing the guy in this song. I mean, little boy, come on.
All right, who's this about, do you guys think? I don't like to be gossipy, but
like that.
Sandy, right?
I don't feel like this is a Lindsay song though.
About everything can be applied to Lindsay.
Yeah, that's true.
They're all Lindsay songs.
That'd be a good 2-hour one.
But during this era, she got so fired up in some of her songs because like the original demos of "Smile at You" from Mirage kind of has the same vibe as Nothing Ever Changes, in my opinion.
That is such a miss. The Smile at You thing, that would have been great live. A great Fleetwood Mac could have played it well. Stevie up front. It's a frontman song.
Yeah.
A woman. I mean, it's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's a ball.
Nothing Ever Changes?
The line, the first mistake was like smiling. That anybody.
Oh, the smile.
Yeah, "Smile at You," the Mirage outtake, which I feel like has the same energy as Nothing Ever Changes.
And that one, there's an angry version on YouTube where
it's called Angry version, right?
There's pauses in there between the anger. It's like it just builds and it builds and there's like breaks where the band plays.
Yeah, Christine's just like ding ding ding.
It's great. And it's on Say You Will, and Lindsay neutered it basically.
Yes.
Yeah, because it sounds like a mix of Caroline and Tango in the Night, the song. It became a Lindsay song.
It does, kind of,
I do like I'm going to be in the minority and say I like the Say You Will version of "Smile at You" because I like John McVie's bass line he put on. I thought that was a killer bass line.
And she's not singing, she's shouting in that song.
Well, okay.
She's very shouty the way she unfortunately sings these days.
I felt like she just rediscovered her softer voice during the recording of In My Dreams or In Your Dreams.
Yes, with Moonlight, especially with her, her softer voice, as you say.
Oh, you know what? I lied to you guys. That softer voice came back in Sorcerer on Trouble in Shangri-La.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, back to Wild Heart. We're gonna go off on so many tangents we can't help ourselves. Any thoughts on Nothing Ever Changes besides that it's awesome?
Alicia, you got some thoughts on this?
Yeah, what do you have to say?
It picks up the tempo from I will run twos a little slower, and then picks up. You need the middle of the side too. You need a good little bit of energy.
And what is that percussion in the intro? Is it a castanet?
Castanets, I think.
Stevie played those castanets too.
I think it's a rattlesnake myself.
Stevie played the rattlesnake. She's like, so you're like, Stevie's like, I've got this. Like,
she'll only do that, and then she'll get a credit for percussion just for doing that.
There's a sax bit in there, the saxophone.
Oh yeah, The sax doesn't come until towards the end, right?
Yeah, but it's like there was a lot of 80 saxophone. I wrote my notes. It was 80 sax before 80 sax was a thing, something like that.
True.
It like
before it was cool.
Yeah, before Kenny G.
Yeah, before Kenny G showed up on another.
Had he known her before that, he would have been on the Wild Heart album.
I don't like saxophone, but I don't mind it in this song. Like it doesn't offend me this time. I'm okay.
I like some horns. I like some Amy Winehouse and some horns.
Okay.
Dang. Yeah.
Well, Alicia, I feel like I cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. I love this song. This as an album song is probably my favorite.
Okay.
Off of this, it's just, well, I mean, you have the big hits, but this is kind of that sleeper, that gem, I think. I like I Run to You because it's that one duet. It's kind of like the nice little special star on this record. But I think this helps kind of like kick back up right before you go into Beauty and the Beast.
Sure.
And to me, this always sounded like she's almost, it makes me think of like that when her and Lindsay would fight and she'd say we would chase each other around the house and whatnot. I mean, this is just little boy, come back. I mean, it's just, it's quite an interesting, and she does a couple great wells. It's a great song.
I have a Madonna Phonogenics group, and I told my friends in there, I said, hey, I'm doing Stevie Nicks The Wild Heart, and they're a little bit bitchy. They're like, you mean Stand Back and 8 bonus tracks? I said, that's it. I'm done talking. I'm done talking to you guys. Till
That's funny and mean.
But I did always feel, I love Nothing Ever Changes in Sable on Blonde.
It is bitchy, isn't it? I'm like...
Some of my friends are bitchy. But I always felt like these songs were kind of like Stand Back and Beauty and the Beast are such huge songs that these other songs are kind of like the ones in between. They're still great though. But I always felt like it was kind of a bridge. This album definitely is a journey. All right, Sable on Blonde. When the album came out when I was 8 years old, it was never one of my favorites, but as I got older, I do love like the atmosphere. The song's very atmospheric. It has Mick Fleetwood on drums, correct?
Yep, Mick playing on. And Waddy, good guitar work on it.
Yes.
Good.
So this song is about her being alone in her house, right? She moved into this mansion. She's by herself and there's like a rainstorm, right? And she's scared. So she writes Sable on Blonde. Isn't that in the press release? I just read it.
Yeah, and like, you can't use Excalibur unless you really need Excalibur, and I can't use Excalibur because I really need to depend on myself and be blonde on blonde instead of depending on people like Sable on Blonde. That's a story behind that. And she said she romanticized the song because, she really does not have a frost-covered window in California.
Sure.
Right.
It's romance.
It's interesting how autumn, like the song has an autumn feel, like Nightbird, Sable on Blonde. You can almost see the leaves changing color. I feel like.
Very true. Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah.
You can see the what?
The leaves. You can see.
It's very autumny.
This whole album is like an autumn album, isn't it?
It is.
It just feels like September.
Even the colors of it, like that's.
Yes.
Does anyone know what month this album came out? I'm just a little curious. I feel like Stand Back came out in the summer.
No.
When did it come out?
It came out in June of '83.
Okay, so it came out in June, but then I think people probably listened to it into the autumn and winter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Well, here is an ad for when it came out with little tour dates on the bottom. You see that? And her first tour date was June 23rd,
Knoxville,
Norfolk, Virginia. So it came up before June 23rd.
Okay. It's interesting. Stable on Blonde doesn't really have a chorus. It just kind of meanders. But I love Stevie songs that just kind of meander. I love the electric piano. It's so this is such an eerie song. Does anyone have any thoughts on this one?
I like the bonus track.
On the deluxe
The demo?
Yeah, that's like the 7-minute version. I mean, when I listened to the original 10 songs, this was like, okay, I love the lyrics, but I wasn't really overtaken by the music.
Right.
But when I heard the
alternate version,
it was like this big, epic, dramatic Which I think that's another thing that makes Stevie so interesting. She could take any of these songs and change them and just do all this different stuff. It's not, I guess she's not so boxed in with her songs, which makes it very interesting to hear bootlegs and all these demos because she changes all the time.
Sure.
But I like. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I do like the unreleased version that came with the deluxe a couple years ago. That it was just, it's the epic song, and I love Stevie for all those epic tunes.
And we definitely need to continue that reissue series past, Belladonna and Wild Heart. I thought this was a beautiful reissue. I mean, the liner notes were great. The packaging was great. I saw my the original CD.
There was a news item actually that they're not continuing because Stevie doesn't want to. It's her decision. Like no rock a little, no other side of the mirror, no other thing. She didn't want to.
Where did you hear that? Where'd that come from?
Maybe the ledge. Somebody posted on the ledge. Maybe.
When we turn the cameras off on this piece, can we download on the ledge really quick when we're done here?
That's what I've heard. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say that she said that Sable on Blonde is a continuation of Dreams, word-wise and melody-wise.
I never heard that at all. Did you guys ever hear that at all?
No, but
yes, it clearly is. I mean, it's the same chords, it's the same song.
Right. Mick Fleetwood doing the same drum loop, I guess.
This or
here.
Find Me a Dreams. I can't remember which, but it might be this one. At the end on Sable on Blonde, like her vocal sounds like very much like a Madonna vocal. I don't know. I can't find like the words. If you listen to it and you imagine Madonna's singing that, it sounds like maybe she's been listening a bit of Madonna and picked up on it.
I don't think Madonna was out yet, though, when Wild Heart came out. Madonna's first album didn't come out till 83.
Well, you might be right, but it just kind of like, man, that sounds like a Madonna vocal.
The whoa at the end, right?
Yeah, something, right in there. Yeah. It's probably coincidental, but maybe she was not channeling, but maybe Madonna had Holiday. That was before. That was like 82.
Oh, you're right. Like the singles. Singles out.
The big smash album? What was its name?
Well, in 82, she had out like Physical Attraction, Everybody. Her first Burning Up was out. You know what? Maybe Madonna heard Wild Heart, and it went the other way around. She copied Stevie.
It was, but Madonna just blinded. I mean, it probably hurt Stevie's, popularity because she understood the modern media, everything.
We joked in my other discussion group that I feel like Debbie Harry will never forgive Madonna for coming along.
Yeah, sometimes it's like not Guns N' Roses, but Nirvana. It was almost like a complete break.
Oh yeah,
killed the wimpy hairband stuff that was getting weaker and weaker as you like Warrant and
Extreme.
Poison. We had enough. We're going back to the basics.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a shot in the dark to be a success. If you have talent, you can break through, but you have talent, you might not.
All right, so let's move on to the last track of Wild Heart. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. The first time I saw Stevie solo was 2005, I believe. We have a fairgrounds in my hometown, or not in my hometown, in Tampa. And at the time, I'd moved down this guy to live with me from Buffalo, New York. Someone I had a thing with in the 90s, and he came down to Tampa, moved in with me. Within 4 days, I found out he was on meth, and he left me for like an 80-year-old guy. So the day the guy left, Stevie Nicks was playing, and Stevie Nicks closed the show with Beauty and the Beast. And that, once in a while in your life, like the right song will come by, and at that moment of heart, like devastation in my life, Beauty and the Beast live. And I'll never forget that moment. Like, she sings that song as good. She hasn't done it on her last couple tours, right?
No, the last time was those 2000-ish tours.
But wasn't it great? Like, she did that song great during those tours.
There was this Australian tour we had the orchestra. That's terrific stuff.
Now, of course, we know the story, but she hired a full orchestra that she only had for a few hours. She and the girls showed up in their cocktail dresses because she wanted to give the experience to the orchestra. So it's interesting that she recorded the song old school. I feel like Beauty and the Beast is every bit as iconic and legendary of a song as it's meant to be. I mean, how do you all feel about Beauty and the Beast? It's
a great epic closing track, you know, the soft song that she ends with her on her albums. There was one show she did in New Jersey in '83 that she actually apparently invited the whole orchestra people.
Really?
For one show.
Wow.
I would have just been devastated in tears if I saw that.
Yeah. And there's a demo of it or an alternate version where there's a guy speaking French in it. Have you guys?
Oh, I've heard that. I didn't like it that much.
Oh my, La Bête.
He's going on La Bête, you know, the beast, or something like that.
The Beast.
Now, I know I keep bringing this up, and you're probably sick of hearing it, but I love during the Red Rocks version of Beauty and the Beast where she wails it on that end note. She's like, "Wah!" And like, she was really feeling it. Like, that wasn't fake. And that's what I love about Stevie Nicks is when she gets wound up, she's really channeling something very real in a way that no other artist does. I feel like her rawness and vulnerability is so specific to Stevie Nicks. And it comes out in this song. I feel like Beauty and the Beast, let's go around the circle and have everyone, because this song is worthy of everyone's take on it.
I think it's her best closing track on all her albums, along with Love Is. That's my opinion.
I love Love Is. Oh my God. Okay.
Love Is. There's some good on YouTube. There's some good Love Is. There's one like in the West. Geez, it's in San Francisco. Can't remember. Excellent.
See, that's a later heartbreak for me. That's later on. That was a different time.
There's some clips of Stevie, like Goldust Woman. There's one in Boston. It was just, it's so cinematic, and just, gosh, it's just like, it's otherworldly. It's amazing. It's like she gets in this groove focus thing.
Yeah.
And the band's, in it, and just boom.
Nathan, do you have any thoughts on Beauty and the Beast?
That's why she stage stuff like that. I mean, you might, there's certain performances are just over the top. And not top is bad, but it's unbelievable.
I agree.
Over the top in a good way.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
That's why she does this.
Right.
If you see that French movie, La Belle et la Bête, you can understand where she's really coming from, like how she got it, and she was so influenced by that movie.
Yeah.
Is it a good watch? Have the rest of you guys watched it?
I didn't watch it.
It's probably on YouTube. Black and white. It's
on
too much
it's very cool imagery.
Isn't it? I have too much ADD for subtitles.
And also the whole Solomith Wolfing fantasy artwork that she's into. I mean, you could really connect it to that album.
Yeah. I got into a Facebook discussion one time, not to go back. I know we don't want to backtrack here, but I'll just say about Sable on Blonde. Maybe it was on The Ledge or something. You guys probably know me from my short, abrupt, shitty little posts on The Ledge from time to time when I don't have anything better to do in my life. Sorry. so that's that. And so I got into a discussion at one point, and I don't know if it was on The Ledge or if it was on a Facebook group, but it was about the song Sable on Blonde and what must have inspired some of those lyrics. Mm-hmm. And there is a Solomith Wolfing piece, and I think it's called The Fallen Leaf, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's very clearly a handsome soldier and and three sort of figures: a child, a mid-sized person, and a great big tall person, which sort of is mirroring the cover of the album that we're talking about, right?
Wow.
Oh, and about that song, Stevie herself in Rock Magazine says, Sable and Blonde is my serious statement on a wild heart. It fits into a particular group of my songs: Rhiannon, Beautiful Child, and Sarah.
Because I think, well, you know this because it sounds like, they're all the same chords type of a thing. I could see how you could sit down and play those all on the same.
As a listener, I do not put Sable and Blonde in the same group or league as Beautiful Child, like for me. But I like it, but it's not like.
I think she means emotionally, not melodically.
See, I don't even get the same emotion from it. For me, that's just my opinion. I mean,
I think she probably means both.
Yeah.
I bet she sits down and plays them all in the same sort of a sequence, in the same sitting, at the same piano.
Sure.
That's just my fantasy.
Nathan, do you have any thoughts on Beauty and the Beast?
I do. It's one of my favorite stories that she served them all champagne. That she and the girls served them all champaign when they came in there and sat down. I thought that's, and that's one of the things that when I was a teenager, Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac are one of my favorite things about them is that they're accepted by different communities.
Yes.
The country folks like them, and the rock and roll folks usually like them too.
The hipsters like them.
And Lord knows hipsters like them too, and teenagers too. And so,
the TikTok stuff is, I haven't even looked at a TikTok Stevie thing. I'm not into that, but it's it forward. I mean, it's pushing the it's good that it's been exposed. A Dreams song that's forever. Landslide.
And so grown folks used to say classy. And when I hear the champagne story, I always think that's nice. Just serve some people some champagne and see if they don't play the best thing on all of your records. So yeah, and I agree with Roland's point. I think it's maybe her best closing track. All the live Love Is make me just cry my eyes out. I only watch it if I'm it's very
I
late.
believe she said that she filmed that whole making of Beauty and the Beast with a full orchestra. I wish she
is that right?
Oh, there's some stuff.
I wish she would. It's in her vault of 24 karat gold things.
And I agree. That's interesting. I didn't know that they said she filmed that. And I agree with Jeremy's point that I do think she does it just as well live today, or maybe better than she did it back then. That whole bit where she did the cape and just the piano. And I think that with the candle abra, is it a candle abra it's called? With the candle holder thing on top of it, I think that the cape that was sitting on right on top of the piano was that great big blue time space cape, wasn't it? I'll catch that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Jim, did you catch that? It seems like you would have caught that.
I'm gonna have to go back.
She really worked a costume persona into Beauty and the Beast during the 2005s or so, with her hair up and that kind of fancy, outfit. And that's not something she does very much anymore. She's always wearing that same black uniform.
Right.
I mean, for the past 5 years, it's the same damn outfit.
And remember the later tours?
Such beautiful clothes.
She did Beauty and the Beast for a couple of the tours, but then she did. Has anyone ever written anything for you for a couple tours after that in the 2000s? From my experience.
She did Love Is too. She did Love Is as an ending song during that time.
So Alicia, before we jump into other stuff, do you have any thoughts on Beauty and the Beast?
It's a gorgeous song. I think it's one of her best goth songs. And I mean, to me, it's why she's considered that goth singer-songwriter. And I've always, when I hear it, because I like Belladonna as a whole, I wish that this was like Chloe's Belladonna, because that's such a goth record.
Yeah.
Instead of Highwayman.
Yeah, I never loved Highwayman. We talked about that last month.
I think it's more of a country record. You really think it's a goth record? Okay, sorry.
Well, it's kind of like got a darker mood to it. It's very moody. The other thing that I think of with the Beauty and the Beast, because it's so special that she had an orchestra. You realize how good she sounds with it. It made me always wonder if she could do an album, like an orchestral album.
I think it'd be awesome.
I mean, you have this, and then you have Beautiful Child, and I mean, she's got several songs that really lend themselves to big orchestra, symphony sort of sound. It always made me wonder why she never did that.
What's interesting is I think of like Stevie Nicks' signature things. I love how she had some albums that opened with the iconic title track. But on the flip side, you have the albums that ended with the beautiful epic at the end. Because for the title tracks, you have Belladonna, Wild Heart, Trouble in Shangri-La.
Mm-hmm.
For the closers, I grouped together Beauty and the Beast. Has anyone ever written anything for you? Love Is. And even though it wasn't a closing track, I put Moonlight in that same group of just epic songs. Oh,
we're not going to talk about.
Can't do that. That's not a closing track at all. How can you do that?
I know
That's
it's not
crazy.
But I feel like it's in that group of like epic songs that could have been in closing track.
But it's not. But it wasn't.
Wish it was.
I wish it was.
It would have worked a little better than Cheaper Than Free. I know her and David Stewart liked it, but
you don't love Cheaper Than Free?
What?
No.
Let's move on. Let's move on to.
I have to say that someone, I think, on the ledge said that if someone said that I was cheaper than free, I would be so insulted.
Okay.
Why? It's lovely. It's a song, to use.
The person meant that, cheaper than free is like basically you're not worth anything. That's how that person saw it. It was meant as a joke.
So money.
I'm pretty cheap.
I don't know. Jim, what do you?
Actually, I would rather she ended with Italian Summer, which is a gorgeous song.
Oh, I love Italian Summer.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful song.
We're jumping ahead, aren't we? We can't help ourselves. Okay. Wild Heart. Let's talk about the demos.
Garbo.
There wasn't as many demos from this album, but there's some great ones. First of all, didn't she try to record for a second time? Why can't I think of it? The Salt Rusted Carriage. Julia.
Oh, many times. Yeah. Many times.
She tried to record it for this album, and once again, Jimmy said no.
I gotta get a copy of Julia and run it. I probably listened to it before.
It's beautiful. I love it. I can't believe she's never released Julia.
Well, to me, Julia sounds like a Christmas song with the piano.
Sleigh Ride, yeah.
Yeah. So these first two, I can kind of see why he would want to pull it.
Okay. You know what? I guess where would it fit on any of her albums?
I'm surprised Julia didn't end up on 24 Karat Gold.
Yes.
Over Cat House Blues, which I do love.
That would have been better.
or instead of I Don't Care, which is a terrible song.
Oh, gosh.
She can't make up her mind whether she cares or not in that song. It's just noise. I just feel it's
funny.
Noise.
It is called I Don't Care, isn't it? That's funny.
You know what's funny is I know this, but she was releasing some clips of her in the studio, and she's like, I'm singing this once, and I'm never gonna sing it again. It was like where she goes off and I don't care. I'm like, it's okay that you only sing that once. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
All right, we're jumping ahead. Garbo was the B-side.
Beautiful song.
A beautiful song in Walt's time. Violet and Blue was from the Against All Odds soundtrack, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a shame about her soundtrack songs. A lot of them get fit into these movies that had nothing to do with the song. You hear for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
If you didn't listen to it, you would never have heard it.
I love Violet and Blue.
Well, what I hate is all of her soundtrack songs are like really good songs. I mean, they're not like little throwaway songs. I mean, they're solid. Blue Lamp, Violet and Blue.
They end up in throwaway moments in a lot of the movies. Like, where was that song? It's like Touched by an Angel, which was supposed to be in that Keanu Reeves movie, but where was it?
In my mind, I can't think of a shitty Stevie Nicks movie song. Like, in my mind, everything I'm thinking of is really good.
They're pretty good songs. I think they're songs that don't fit like the theme of the albums.
Yeah,
they're one-offers that don't really fit. They're good, and movie people ask artists, you got an extra song, and Steve said, yeah, you can have this.
Sure. And I guess Violet and Blue might have not worked on well. I feel
That-
Blue Lamp definitely would not have worked on Belladonna.
Blue Lamp is one of the best, her best songs, period.
Yes.
And greater than a lot of Fleetwood Mac stuff.
But it was in the very stupid part of heavy metal, the part where those taxi drivers are in the police station. I think it was useless. It was really just thrown away.
Of course, All the Beautiful Worlds was almost
a
final version, right? It was close to a final version for Wild Heart.
Yes.
Then they pulled it from the album. I love the girls kind of singing co-lead vocals. You guys may find this controversial and disagree, but I actually love the version from 24 Karat Gold better than the Wild Heart demo.
They're very similar.
An opinion on this, and very quickly, and that's
Yes.
that when that record came out and when that album came out and I bought it, I thought that she had just re-released the 1983 vocal that she had done. I really did, until I listened to it a couple times and stuff, and I was like, I felt dumb. But
no, she hits.
So I really thought it was just as good as any of those.
The story with 24 Karat is they had all these demos, YouTube demos and stuff, and they had the Nashville people lined up, and they sent those songs over to get recorded, and I think they got pretty much finished. And I think Stevie came in there and wanted to change a thing or two and said, "No, this is what it is," and it turned out good.
Nathan, I think in the version from 24 Karat Gold, she's singing in a softer style than we'd heard from her in a long time, and she hit some high notes at the end of that, right? That we hadn't heard in a long time. Like, I had to listen to All the Beautiful Worlds. I kept rewinding where she hits those high notes at the end, because
I think so.
Hear her sing like that is
I'm gonna add it to my list, but I think you're right.
So don't feel dumb at all for thinking that, because that was a very classic vocal from Stevie Nicks.
If we're going for Karat Gold, this is funny. I ordered that. I think a lot of people ordered the vinyl. I got it first on the Ledge, and I was playing it, and I was remarking on it, and people would say, "You're just full of and I was playing it and I was critiquing it, and I was being kind of funny about it when Blue Water came on, and I would type in, "Hey, that's a guy from Lady Antebellum," and stuff like that. I make little quips about, and I was listening to a record that probably maybe one of the first people in the country had.
Because didn't it come out on vinyl a little bit before the CD?
What?
Wasn't the vinyl released a couple weeks before the CD was?
Yeah, it was. I was one of the first.
You know what? I remember your post because I lurked the left.
I think I do too.
I liked it. I enjoyed your post, but people got really whipped up.
And I made a video of, because I'm not very tech savvy or anything. I think I made a video of was it Cat House Blues. And I was there watching the vinyl, and I walked around in the basement here and here just showing my Stevie stuff, and I post on YouTube, and I think I sent that, and I got that to people on the Ledge somehow. But if you remember what I was doing, it showed up, and that was one of the early areas where I was at like Walgreens, and I got the notice that the record was delivered.
Oh.
And I'm getting out of the car, and I looked over towards the house, and there's a package. It's Stevie Nicks, and it's been, and I just get down there and I played it, and I have a year and a half daughter, and trying to deal with her and go through every track as much as I could, and they would say, send me a clip. When you're 2-year-old and stuff, and I'm not totally savvy about putting stuff up, but that was a great moment.
And man, I wish it was. I want to go through every album tonight. I want to talk about 24 Karat Gold tonight. Do we have to wait like 8 months?
Well, if we could just get through the outtakes, then.
So let's do. We're gonna do a lightning round here. We're gonna do lightning round, disc 2 of Wild Heart. Violet and Blue, we already talked about. Over here, we have an early demo of I Sing for the Things, which was a lot more rock.
Oh, okay. I love
interesting song, interesting version.
I like where she went on rock a little, honestly. I think she made a right choice going softer with that song. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Alicia, do you agree?
Yes, I mean, it's interesting. It could go both ways, but I do like the slower side. It makes it more sincere.
I remember someone was saying that the original sounded like a Bengals song.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, Bengals. I misunderstood you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then we have Sable on Blonde, the alternate version, which Alicia already professed a love for, and I'm gonna go back and revisit. To be honest, I don't think I gave that enough time. So, Alicia, thank you. You're giving me something to look forward to after this discussion.
It's epic.
Sable on Blonde. It's on the compilation of Wild Heart, the master, whatever it is. I didn't buy it.
We have All the Beautiful Worlds, the original, which
Tired of playing the same stuff over and over. You know, and you can find it on YouTube later. But
we have a early version of Sorcerer. Well, I guess it's not early because it's from the Buckingham Nicks.
Buckingham Nicks. Oh, I just heard that tonight. Before they joined Fleetwood Mac, and they did that live.
But didn't Marilyn Martin do a version in the 80s?
Oh, I love her piano version. That's a nice
good.
version.
That was really
Marilyn
good.
Martin.
I like that one.
I like it more than the Trouble in Shangri-La one, actually.
Yeah, I did like that though.
More than TISL version.
I like this version. This is a very interesting version. It's kind of like a mashup between Landslide.
Best one.
It's a really nice intro, the way it's on the Wild Heart demo thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how does everyone feel about Dial the Number?
Oh, what a dud. What a dud.
I have nothing to say about this song.
It's kind of outdated. It's funny.
Didn't
it sounds like it should be the theme song for a commercial for telephones.
Didn't she do a version for Other Side of the Mirror, or am I imagining things?
Oh, yeah, with Kenny G.
Yeah, Nathan, you like this song? You like Dial the Number?
No, I don't. Not really.
Okay, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
There's one or two little lines, but I think that's like most of her. I think that's like most of her albums. There's a couple little lines in there that I like, but to listen to the whole thing is kind of weird sometimes, and it certainly doesn't all fit together in a narrative sense, which is very Lindsay to say, but also very true.
Though very true.
Rolling Stone pointed that out actually in their review of the Wild Heart album in 1983, which was that her music is best listened to when you sort of let little bits and pieces of it bubble up to the surface, and you don't look at it as a whole unit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have that clipping from Rolling Stone. They gave her
what
a
I'm talking about,
review. Huh? That's the one with the fairy tale drawing next to it, right?
I don't remember. I just remember that line because
they gave her a bad review.
They said that her lyrics were dumb and that her music was pedestrian, and that they said that she has to have weird lyrics. She needs a creepy, cool music like Goldust Woman, but generally she had a bad review.
What was the song title we're on right now?
Dial the Number.
Dial the Number.
Dial the Number. So if so, there's a couple of things. One, maybe 2 days left. I mean, if you're getting ready to make a life change, and if you have that, and you just bought that album or something at Barnes and Noble, and you're on disc 2 or something, and she's talking, it can be good. So it's not without without a couple of good moments, but for the most part, I agree with everybody else on the panel. It's a dud.
Do you know what Stevie Nicks song changed my life? Like I literally gave away all my stuff and moved. Because I feel like, Nathan, there are songs like that will creep up on you. Maybe Dial the Number crept up on somebody. But for me, it was Juliet from Other Side of the Mirror. But we'll get to that.
Tying up your ribbons and your bows, huh?
I did. Yep. I just gave away my shit, and I left Atlanta. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Your crisis becomes a bridge? Yeah?
Yeah.
I crossed that bridge tomorrow. My ass was driving right up back to New York State at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Garbo.
Great song. Love that song.
Did she do this?
Oh, and she did it live on the Enchanted tour, which was fantastic.
It was good too, right?
Yeah, she did like a little acoustic thing with Sleeping Angel too.
And After the Glitter fades too, or with?
I think so.
Yes.
Wasn't Sleeping Angel from this era also?
Yeah, 82, 81, 82.
I think it was Belladonna.
It was Belladonna?
Yes, it's a Belladonna reject. Yeah.
Okay.
Another soundtrack song.
They got lost.
And then Are You Mine is on here, which...
Okay. That Jim Ladd interview... Sorry. The Jim Ladd... Impromptu, just went ahead and did it with the girls and Sandy playing guitar.
Okay.
And it's very... That was very cool.
Alicia, did you have anything to say about Garbo? If I miss anybody, just tell me to
Garbo.
shut up.
Garble is a different song, but a good song. It seems like it's the start of where she starts picking characters in pop culture, writes how she's like them and this, that, and other. But it's a great song.
And it's interesting because she had Garbo on this album, then she did a demo for Greta for Rock a Little that didn't come till Street Angel, but that original demo is so like synth pop.
Mm-hmm. I think Garbo is from that time when she and Lindsay were doing those demos during that 1974 time.
Oh, the story behind Garbo is the Buckingham Nicks album cover.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. She talked about that. Yeah.
Well, I got a wild story about. I don't know if you say that. Crazy.
You can say on my show. You can say whatever you want. This is
kind of a foggy memory. It's like my dad was going to take us boys, my two brothers, to the record store. And I love music. I love rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
But I got there and I was looking at albums. I couldn't place pictures and I couldn't place something I've heard with album covers or anything. And then I was looking around, I was kind of give, and then I saw this good-looking couple. I swear to God, it happened. It was because later on, when I was going through the back catalog and I looked over in the rack somewhere and I saw that picture again, and that kind of jogged a little memory.
Okay.
Express memory, like, did I see that before? But I saw this couple, and I looked at them, and well, they look like they're a good couple. Maybe they sound good. I don't know.
Buckingham Nicks, or is it the Rumors album?
But then I saw that, Stevie was topless, and that, creeped me out. She kind of looks like my mom a little. Old pictures of my mom.
Poor fella.
Okay, we might not agree on anything, but none of us want to see our mothers topless. I think we all agree on that one thing.
Story goes that I went to the front of the store and stood and waited for my brothers to get their Led Zeppelin and whatnot. And one of my brothers came up. I remember this. They came up to me and said, "Did you find it?" And I said, "No." Like I was mad or scared or freaked out. But amazing seeing a person that's impacted your life later,
right? Like
that, and then Stevie wrote a song called Garbo. The same sort of. She didn't want to do that. She got this she called $111 blouse, and she had to take it off to take a photo, an album cover. And Lindsay's, said, "Come on, this is art and all that stuff." You know that. Everybody kind of knows that interview where she says
she had to clean Keith Olsen's house or whoever's house she had to clean.
Yeah, I mean,
for that outfit.
It's weird that maybe it sent Stevie on a mindset of being, frightened, and it sent me and maybe that's kind of, I relate to her maybe on a deeper level, right? Because it happened to me that involved the same issue. She didn't want to go topless, and I think that's probably why that album failed. Is people kind of got a little squeamish about it, and like me, I'm out of here. It
was a different time in the world back then too, 1970.
Yeah, but there was that.
Good theory on it. It is definitely provocative for sure.
Yeah, but it's a good album. But maybe that kind of, you got kids that are, like 12, and their parents are with them. You can't buy that. She's naked. And that might have killed that album in some ways.
Not
stuff like
case.
that. Or yeah. But the album ends up in radio stations, and they look at it and said, "This is kind of like porn or something." I don't want to play it.
Except in Birmingham, Alabama, didn't they have a huge following in one city?
Yeah, they did a big concert there before they went into Fleetwood Mac.
I was listening tonight. The Buckingham. There was like a 40. They got YouTube. Someone put up a 48-minute show like last year. I never heard it before. They got a little Skinner in them. They're southern. They're kind of a southern rock feel to them. Buckingham Nicks. That band. the themes of, love lost and, and like Lola is kind of like a conquest song.
We definitely are going to have to discuss that album.
Buckingham, that's a good one to run through. But that's weird. It's a foggy memory of mine. Like, imagine like someone's going to come in your life way later that you saw, and then you kind of, you kind of shut your mind down because you're a bit traumatized. Because I bet there was music there. I bet there was some Rolling Stones there I would like. I mean, I've heard on the radio. I heard a lot of stuff I like, and I never gave much thought. My brothers ended with records. They ended up with some Queen and some Zeppelin and things like that. So,
So Lindsay was wrong. She should have kept her shirt on.
It's a foggy memory, but it's like
well, the records as the units.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to. Yes.
Almost, it's almost like it's totally unbelievable, like it's not true. And I kind of feel that way too. But heck, I was in a record store with my brothers, and I remember being like traumatized by seeing that a couple and the girls, there's I like that, but I was 13, or no, I wasn't 13. I was like,
if you're 13, you would have loved it.
I was like 11.
Okay.
And some of that kind of looks like your mom. That freak you out.
That's a hard pass on that, right?
Yeah. I'll just sit on. And that might have held me back on looking into, finding music I like, because I liked a lot of stuff. It's kind of like Stevie, was that good that I, like I had it with Dreams, I kind of had a dialogue with, and Rihanna, and I kind of told you about that story. And, and there was like during that Belladonna era, it was like, I told you that this girl she's singing and it's like, she's been singing to me for like years and years and years. And it's like, she's getting a little older now and she's still doing this. And hey, if I find out who this person is, I'll be right there buying records. Then it ended up like MTV era, and then that's the end of that story.
And now here we are in 2021.
And that's crazy stuff, but it's wild.
Well, I'm probably gonna wrap it up in the next couple of minutes because we're going on 2.5 hours here.
I'm in love with all of you guys.
Does anyone have any other demos from this era that they want to mention before anything we forgot?
Like when the Garbo thing, I heard it first on the box set, and I was like,
okay,
it's kind of like her emotion. I don't know. I was like, really, the music and the way that it just like I was crying.
It's a beautiful song.
Interesting. You're right. It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if at her doing that Buckingham Nicks photo shoot, if that was the start of her feeling like she needs to be mystic, with kind of covering herself up.
I think
fascinating.
Because she kind of does the layers and everything.
Right.
I know she kind of had the scoop neck there in the early 80s, but she's not like your Madonna that she's showing tons of leg and tons of
everything.
Classy. Champagne, classy.
Yeah, very classy.
During the Wild Hard Time, she was talking about writing a book and having photographs in it and all that sort of thing, but that never happened, and it's she's 73 now, and it still hasn't happened.
Well, we're still waiting for the
everyone to die. She said she's waiting for like Don Henley to die and all these other people, like Joe, so she could talk about them. But
we're still waiting for the Rhiannon movie. The
Rhiannon movie, maybe.
The lady.
But isn't that really happening? It's supposedly really happening. She signed a contract with somebody to work on that.
Rhiannon movie. They said that before, so.
All right. Well,
I really think it's serious this time, guys.
I do too. I think being in quarantine, Stevie's like, I need to make the Rhiannon movie.
This time it's for serious.
Like she says in Red Rocks. She says that in Red Rocks. This is serious.
Not exactly what I said, but.
Do we have any thoughts on Wild Heart before we wrap up for today, you guys?
When was the song The Tower? The demo label is The Tower.
Oh, don't take me to the tower. That the one on Say You Will eventually.
It became Goodbye Baby, but I feel like that was from like
Baby.
78.
That's early.
Okay. Older. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, around this time there was Battle the Dragon, which ended up on Rock a Little, so it's kind of like 83, 84, 85 time.
Well, Battle of the Dragon ended up on Streets of Fire soundtrack, right?
No, American Anthem.
Oh, American Anthem, that's right.
Yep, and there's actually a couple of demos with Tom Petty very prominently in that song. They sort of answer and call back to each other. They're really cool.
All right, so I'm going to go around the circle so everyone can do their final thought on Stevie Nicks, The Wild Heart. Let's start with Nathan.
I think it's my favorite record of hers because it's the one that's the most what's the word you've been using? You guys have been saying continuity. It's the most consistent all the way through. So I really like it. It's not as country as I think Belladonna is, although Alicia would argue it's more gothic. It's one of my favorites. I just have one question. Is that really Sandy Stewart playing guitar on Garbo? Is that what someone said?
I don't think there were credits.
Ladd show. That was the Jim Ladd interview. I think they were trying to get the right chord, and you got to listen to it. And I think Sandy was playing guitar, and the girls were singing. No, that's
Are You Mine. That's Are You Mine.
Yeah.
Oh well, I've heard the Are You Mine one. That's good.
And who plays guitar and garb? That's a good question. Very good.
I don't have anything to say that already hasn't been said, Jeremy. Thank you very much for
Nathan. I'm glad you came
doing the show. I'm sorry I missed the last one. Next time I'm going to be a little bit cooler and calmer because I was really excited for this one. So
don't be anyone but yourself. This is Stevie Nicks land. Stevie wants us to be ourselves, and I like our group here. I think we have a good group. So I'm not going to be doing a call for more people. I think. Some people that we already have in my list decide to join us next time. That's cool, of course. Alicia, do you have any final thoughts on Wild Heart?
Well, I know what I'm going to be playing for Valentine's Day. I mean, this is a good Valentine's record. Now that Jim has kind of spoken out how some of the smaller songs are more romantic, and kind of brought it back up to my attention. But it's a really good record.
Alicia, you bring up a good point. All the smaller songs weren't some of my favorites, maybe because my love life's a disaster.
Well, it's not great to hear either, so.
I need to find love to appreciate Gate and Garden.
We'll play it on repeat on the 14th.
Okay. Roland, do you have any final thoughts on Wild Heart?
It's my favorite record from her. I just love If Anyone Falls and Nightbird, and I look forward to when we do Rock a Little.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yes. First, like I said, my first album I ever bought, and it's a good concept album. A lot of variation, a lot of passion, and a lot of passion. I think it's a love letter to her fans. I think it really would, because she's comfortable with herself, and this is another anecdote, a personal anecdote. It's when I bought mom and dad, drove me to the record store. I was, 83, and I went to pick up some records. I asked them, it's probably the same record store, but in contrast to seeing that album and then going to the front and saying, I didn't find anything. But this time I'm on a mission to get there and buying the record from the same woman that I saw, disrobed, more or less. And that's crazy. That's a crazy, like a circle of, and then when I was sitting in the car on the way home and I'm looking at this album, The Wild Heart, I heard quite a few songs from it on the Jim Ladd interview, and I loved them. Absolutely. That's why I went there to get to the record store, get Stevie and maybe some other stuff to kind of, play too. And I was just looking at it, and it was like this emotion came over me, like, I actually bought this, and here's someone I really like, Stevie. I really like her, and I pay my hard-earned money to buy something that she made. It's like,
oh my God, what is it?
What?
What is? Yeah, I'm loving.
Well, she created this, and it's like, well, maybe she can. There's a feeling that you're kind of like you're buying a product. It's not cold like you're buying like a cucumber in the store. This is like you're buying something that was created, and you're like, it's like she put so much of her life into her work, and I was in South Dakota on her farm with dairy cattle and trying to make that work, and that's a big discipline. And what she does is a huge discipline. So I understood that money-wise, monetarily wise, it's and this is like her. I bought something, and it's a tiny amount of money. I'm going to pay my $6 for the while, and maybe she would buy some. It'd be go forward to her, buying and paying off whatever she pays the session guys or whatever. It was kind of like, and the feeling that from an artist is kind of a little nutty, but I felt that it's that connection. So, that's like a personal anecdote, but here I got the wild heart, and I thought I'd play a record to enjoy, but you're coming home with something that, wow, it's like, I'm going to enrich her life in a tiny, tiny way. Maybe I bought the first step, that new house where they recorded In Your Dreams. Maybe I bought 3 steps in that house myself, over all the concerts and the records and everything.
Maybe I paid for about a shot glass full of jet fuel to get her to the next stop, Yeah, I love it, Jim. Personally, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. It's that was a good emotional. That was a moment there. You feel that you're actually someone you kind of like, or and think she's pretty good.
A connection.
Yeah.
Times where, like during the Belladonna era, I wanted to buy her music and I didn't know who she was. You're on a dairy, you don't know. And the name Stevie Nicks is a man's name. That's kind of what kind of confused me in a lot of that period. I get, there's a, like Leather and Lace is a male singer with a woman, and Stop Dragon's a male singer. And it's just a male singer's record. See, that kind of threw me off a little. So.
All right.
Okay. And the Wild Heart, it's a very cinematic. It's a love letter to her fans, it's a what do you call it, concept record. And I'm done. Let's rock a little.
All right. Yes. So we are all going to be back. Let me look at my calendar on March 9th to discuss Stevie Nicks. So mark your calendars. March 9th, we're going to meet.
What day of the week?
It's on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. There was a little bit of family thing here where I usually take my son to college.
Move it, Roland. Move it.
Well, let me wrap this up.
Move it, Jim. Move it. I was looking at Roland today when I said that. I'm sorry.
Let me wrap this up, then I'll pause so we can still talk. Okay. So for everyone that's watching, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. If anyone would like to subscribe to my Patreon, it'd be appreciated. And I'm Jeremy Gloff on Facebook. Thank you for watching our discussion of Stevie Nicks' Wild Heart. We will see you in March.